night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. Hey, it's too late to try to go contain it. A generation fueled by creation. We live lives on a small screen nation. We control the airwaves, no negotiation. I refuse to think we need saving. Something good will come from creation. And when we think that the world is too anxious, we'll adapt, evolve, survive, and save it. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. Hey, oh yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong.
Nobody is coming to save you. Get up. Be your own hero.
Oh, look at me. I'm retarded. I'm a globe.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sovereign Soul Unchained Mind, coming to you 250 miles above your imagination from the International Fake Station. I'm up here with my good friend Somting Wong, and he is here to make sure that we run smoothly here tonight and we don't violate any of the rules. We can't violate the rules. So how is everyone tonight? My goodness, what a group we've got in here with us tonight. Look at there, all the usual suspects. I see Tony Coriolis. There's Mojo Shop. What's happening, my man? Saddlebum is with us as well. Valley Parks. Let's see. Jehovah's lovely daughter, Barbara. Got no longer on the ball here. Tony Coriolis. Let's see. Who else is there? D-Light. I like that. Jeff Gashead. Welcome, my friend. The True Few here with us again. Ryan S. That's the Cookie Monster man. There he is. Let's see what we else here. True Earth Cherry Popper. True Earth Cherry Popper. I like that name. Oh, let's see who else we got. Twilight Nights. Oh, he's the first one in. Martine, Mr. Cax is with us here tonight. And I think that's pretty much everybody that I see in the chat so far, but people tend to come flying in here. So I wanted to kind of go over this thing. It's a short little video by what's her name, Sabina Hassenfelder. I keep wanting to call her Hassenpfeffer because cook, where's my lunch? Where's my dinner? I want Hassenpfeffer. Coming right up, sir. So I don't know. That's it. But she does seem to be a little bit upset. She was afraid. She said that flat Earth scares her. And we tried to find where the fearful aspect of flat Earth in her video was last time, but we couldn't find it. I did find this, though. We like to joke about the idea. I mean, I can't believe people don't see around this crap where, oh, well, mass is attracting mass, and the mechanics of the universe aren't working out the way that they should based on our theory. So is our theory wrong? No, that must mean that there's this shit called dark matter and you can't see it, because God knows we couldn't be wrong. Holy crap. How you doing tonight, Ryan? Right on.
What's up, Dave?
So this is a pretty good little rant. This comedian, God, he looks like Owen Benjamin. I don't know. I watched it on my phone and it was kind of small, but this is pretty good regarding dark matter. I don't know if you've seen this or not, Ryan, but this is pretty funny.
I don't know. Well, check it out.
Let's see.
Saw this in the paper, almost skipped over it. Then I went back and looked at it a little closer. I think this proves conclusively that scientists are making stuff up. In the newspaper, scientists said they discovered a black hole in the galaxy M87, 50 million light years away. That's what they said. They discovered a black hole in the galaxy M87, which I'm pretty sure is between M88 and M86. 50 million light years. That's how far away they said it was. 50 million light years. Light years. Light years. Well, you know what? I am sick and tired of acting like I know how far a light year is. I have no idea. Is it farther than a mile? But they're more than happy to tell us scientists that a light year is a distance light travels. Light travels. I've never even seen it pack. They said a light year is a distance light travels in 1 year, which is approximately 6 trillion miles. 6 trillion miles. Trillion! There's a number I use in my checking account every day. So 50 million times 6 trillion. Way over 100! So now we know how far to go. We know in which direction. Just follow the numbers in the sky, and there it is, a black hole. Of course, we all know what that is, don't we? We have no idea. Scientists are more than happy. Scientists said a black hole is a supernova or giant star that is so large it collapses onto itself and is so dense, the gravity is so powerful that even light can't escape. That's what the scientists said. Even light can't escape. And this is where we've got them. They're making stuff up.
But then you can see it, right?
Even light can't escape. Because you know what they said that means? You can't see it. Oh, no, you should all be with me at this point.
That's why you can't see it, because it sucked up all the light. Yeah, this is fucking dumb, man.
You can't see it, but we discovered it. 50 million light years away. If you can discover something right next to you, you can't see. That's pretty good. Oh, I think I got a black hole right here. It even gets better. How do we discover it? We use the Hubble telescope to discover a black hole that you can't see. I would have loved to have been with the scientists when they got those pictures from the Hubble. You know what? I can't see anything. Let's just tell them it's a black hole. A British scientist. What?
That's essentially what it is, man. Well, there's nothing there, so it must be a black hole. Holy freaking God. Right? 300 trillion million gazillion.
What? I love that. What?
What? No shit.
All this in the
Yeah, I
paper.
thought that was pretty cool. That guy's, I'd like to see that whole routine. We got some other stuff we're going to look at on there that's pretty good that I captured and kind of cherry picked for everybody later. But first thing I want to do here tonight is I want to go over this Sabina Hosenfelder. God, that sounds so much like Hassenpfeffer, doesn't it?
Hassenpfeffer.
Really, I mean, I'm not trying to disparage your name or anything like that. I mean,
but it does. It reminds me of that, but only because I love Bugs Bunny. And yeah,
did you, man? That was one of my favorite ones too, where he was like, "Cook, where's my lunch? Where's my dinner?"
There was so many good ones that they got rid of too. They were funny. I don't know why they were funny. Probably because I didn't know what kind of people they were even talking about. But I thought the stereotypes were funny anyway.
Oh my word! That one and that one where Sam's riding on a camel and it won't stop. And he says, "Whoa, camel, whoa." And he hits it finally.
Whoa, camel. Yeah, he punches it back.
Whoa, that means whoa.
It means, whoa, you stupid camel.
You crazy varmint. Yeah, I used to be a fan of old Sam. I liked him. Anyway, this is Sabina. I haven't seen this yet. It's only a short one. And she says, scientific progress is slowing down, but why? What are your speculations on, one, is that true, that scientific progress is slowing down? And if it is, what would you attribute it to? Ryan, what would you, is it slowing
I'd say
down?
Yes. I'd say because it's commercialized and because they're using it to sell things rather than using it for the good of man.
Mm-hmm. Rather than using it as a method of discovery, they're using it as a method of profit. I think that would be a safe way to put it. That's my opinion. I think also that our progress would be stagnated if most of the world is operating from a false premise, you know, and I think that you would eventually come to a stagnation because you're not able to progress on something that's not real. You know, there's just a lot of assumptions, a lot of assumptions in what they call the scientific community today. Where I think Tesla said it the best, that they've replaced actual science with a bunch of fucking mathematical equations and shit. You know. So I don't know. Let's see what Sabina has to say. I had a girlfriend when I was in Germany named Sabina. Wasn't her though.
It might seem like we're surrounded by constant progress, better cars, faster phones, virtual reality, the Internet of Things that we're told is just around the corner.
Oh, for crying out loud, really? What happened to my ad blocker? What?
It's been there for so long now, I wonder what it's doing behind that corner. Things notwithstanding, it certainly looks like progress. Drones, VR glasses, Alzheimer drugs, robots on the moon, amazing. And yet, how new is all this really? Is a foldable phone a breakthrough invention? Is gradually cramming more and more pixels and transistors into headsets a sign of progress? Aren't machines on the moon more of an engineering feat than a scientific revelation? Is this?
That's what I'm talking about right there. Spending a bunch of time and effort developing something that is never going to go to the intended place that you're wanting it to go, based on false premises of a different gravity and all this other nonsense. What use is that when it's not real? You see, that's just a good way to money launder under the guise of technology. That's all that is.
The end of science? I've talked about this a few times previously, and I do think science is in big trouble indeed. But last week, I read a press release saying research has lost none of its innovative drive. And well, that doesn't agree at all with what I said. So I've had a look. Before we get to the new paper, here's the background. The number of scientists in the world is higher now than ever before. It's not just overall population increase, the fraction of people in research and development itself is increasing. Globally, it went from about 1 in 1,000 to more like 1.5 in 1,000 in the past 20 years. But in most of the developed world, the numbers are much higher than the global average. For example, in Germany, more than 5 in 1,000 people now work in research and development. Those damned scientists are everywhere now, even on YouTube. And more scientists means more papers. We now see more than 5 million new scientific articles per year and about 3.5 million new patents per year.
And there you've hit on the problem right there, Sabina. It's all about publishing fucking papers and getting patents. It's not about development. It's not about progress. It's about being first or being noticed. It's about chasing that dollar. That's exactly what it is. And now with everything has to be peer reviewed on every level. I mean, come on, people. Some of the best innovative ideas have come out of non-peer groups because they've been able to expand. They've opened their mind from the paradigm. I've got a little guy here. I'm going to find where he's at. I've got him in here somewhere. I'll find him later. But he's talking exactly about that, and that it's just gone to peer review. And if you're all only going to accept something if it goes along the accepted academic line instead of actually looking at it, it's all about getting somebody to sign off on your work and you can get a paper published. What does that do? Well, that gets you more favor in the competitiveness of the field. It's just chasing a dollar.
But it's not so surprising that more people means more papers, is it? Indeed, in 2020, two researchers from ETH Zurich said that all this paper production is covering up what's really going on. That is a steep decline in research productivity. They counted the number of top researchers, those which have made major contributions to a field of research, because these people are usually not hard to identify. They then assigned the top researchers to their active research years. This way, they avoid having to count discoveries. It's quite clever, really. You can see in this figure, for example, the number of top researchers during the first revolution in quantum mechanics. Then they normalize this by the total number of researchers, and this is what they call research productivity. With this measure, they find that the research productivity has steeply decreased since the 1960s and 70s. From the way that they've defined it, this means that of all the scientists alive, fewer and fewer are contributing to key discoveries. This echoes an earlier argument by Patrick Collison and Michael Neilson, who pointed out that Nobel Prizes are increasingly awarded to work that was done long ago, and that didn't used to be the case. Then last year, a paper appeared in Nature which supported the earlier findings. The authors said that the number of disruptive ideas has noticeably gone down in many areas of science, including the physical sciences, chemistry, computer science, and biomedicine. They look
even in biomedicine, going along false premises. I'm going to just refer to germ theory, for instance. Okay. Why the obvious ignoration of the in disregard for terrain? Why? Because it's a prescribed line that they have to, it's a profitable line. That's why. Okay. This is why we're running into these problems. Okay. You'd think in the year 2024, they could make a phone that wouldn't fuck up, right? No, they could, but is it in their best interest to? What if they made a phone that was never good or never bad, never broke, or even an automobile that never broke down, easy to fix if something does go wrong with it, right? Well, what's that do? Once you got a car,
you'd
then
sell billions of them.
Got a car now, then what the fuck? Now you don't have to, you need to slow production because not everybody's going to be buying cars. But if you've got planned obsolescence built into the manufacturing of these items, well, then by all means. So it's just like that with this. It's planned. It's for the profit. It's not for the benefit or the advancement.
But you could plan to put the profit back into it in order to make it valuable until it's actually sold to you. That way everybody gets one. And then at the end of that, nobody needs to make any more money. We all have a car that lasts forever.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing. And it's just like with a lot of these scientists, man, they've paid a lot of money to get these degrees and everything else. They're not going to rock the boat because that's their bread and butter. They're definitely not going to rock the boat. And if they can skate by making high money and just putting out some paper, it gets published and they get noticed and whatnot, then that's good enough. That's all they're in it for. They're not in it for the advancement. They're in it for the prestige. They're in it for the grants. They're in it for the money. And you'll find that most scientific research favors whoever funded it. That's the reality. That's what gave us the last 4 years. If people don't understand that by now, then, well, I don't know what to tell you, you know?
looked at 45 million papers stretching back to 1945, as well as 3.9 million patents, and at how often those papers and patents were cited. Then they measured whether a new paper or patent made citations to earlier work redundant, which they say is a sign of a disruptive breakthrough. Using this metric, they found clear evidence that both papers and patents have become less disruptive over time in all areas that they looked at, even in the top journals such as Nature and Science. The team says that this shows a fundamental shift in the nature of scientific inquiry. Scientists are making fewer and fewer breakthrough discoveries and instead work out the details of the knowledge that we already have. Now about the new paper with the press release that said research is doing just fine. This was actually a reply to the paper from last year that I just talked about. The authors of the new paper say that the analysis in that earlier paper was just wrong because they excluded citations to patents published prior to 1976. This had the effect that many patents published in the late 70s and 80s would appear groundbreaking simply because the references to earlier works were missing. Since the groundbreakingness of the 70s and 80s was overestimated, this made the later years look worse. It's kind of like everyone thinks the time they've grown up in was the best because they have no idea how miserable people were before their birth. Well, so the authors of the new paper corrected the mistake in the earlier paper. But that
See, there again, it's all about fucking papers and shit. I think that the whole stagnation of it is all due, and I do believe there is a stagnation. There has to be a stagnation because when you're trying to make advancements on shit that's not real, you're not going to advance. So when they talk about these different scientific advancements, when somebody says, we have scientific advancements in astrophysics, okay, that's Narnia land. Okay, that's all imagination bullshit. You might as well have, advancements in Disney cartoons. Okay, that's not an advancement. It's Narnia land bullshit. And a lot of these things are Narnia land bullshit. So if you've got a lot of people out there and you're considering them as actual science and not the pseudoscience that they are, well, of course you're not going to see any advancements. And those that are dealing with what we have and are in the real world, they can only go so far because they're limited by the false information that they have been taught. It's really clever, and it's really quite by design. What do you think about that, Scholar Kevin? Okay. Interesting. Get all kinds of guests on here.
Who's Scholar Kevin?
It's Kevin. That was Kevin. We enjoyed having Kevin on here. And I don't know. There he is. Maybe he just couldn't get his mic going or something. There he is.
Hey, am I front stage now?
Yeah, man, you're up here, right?
Yeah, I was just noticing that you titled this stream as Science's Death Throes, THROWS, when
Yes.
Death Throes, the correct spelling is THROES. And I was just making a comment, just pro tip, if you don't want people to think that flat earthers are retarded, learn how to spell.
Well, I don't know. Maybe learn how to understand science. Did you understand what the fucking word meant? Did you get what the word meant?
Yeah, I mean, it's a homonym, yeah.
So are you a glober?
I am not.
You're not?
I am not.
So how would that spelling of that have any bearing on the reality of Earth or anything else? See, I'm not worried about what people think. If people make a thought based on some assumption, then they're a fucking retard to begin with. See, I've had a lot of people make that assumption about me, and they've been shown that that was a bad mistake to assume that about me.
That's just because you don't know how to spell means you're stupid.
I've shown them time and time again. I've destroyed fucking McToon, Fight the Flat Earth, Red's Rhetoric, all the rest of these clowns. I've destroyed every one of them with nothing but fucking logic and actual science.
Well, I think you have a little more grace to call them the FTFE fight the flat Earth, because I mean, seriously, he's been fucked by the flat Earth.
He's been actually, yeah. I mean, he at this point right here, it's sort of like, I feel like it's sort of like you're watching a guy getting his ass kicked in the boxing ring, and you're just pleading, dude, stay down, just stay the fuck down. And he gets up and he gets KO'd again. And it's like there's no end to it for this guy. He just wants to KO after KO after KO. And the other night, I mean, Witz gave him a virtual curb stomp. That was a virtual curb stomp. I mean, I mean, that was just, I felt bad watching. I was cringing watching it. I thought, man, that dude is way out at the deep end of the pool right now, and he can't swim, you know. But no, right. It's Throes with OES, eh? Like, I don't know. Let me see what the what the old thing is. I would have never thought that. Throw isn't even a word, I don't believe. Not in that direct.
Well,
of course, then it sounds like death row. Like the place where, yeah, it's got it redirected to death throes. Well, so let's see what throes means then. What is throes?
You know, like being thrown to your death. Get it?
Throes, intense or violent pain and struggling. Okay, rather than, you know, chucking shit. Okay, especially birth, death, or great change. Okay, cool. Well, I appreciate that. We'll
Mandela.
You know what? We'll change that right now. We'll change that shit right now.
You better fix it now.
Yeah,
I just wanted to stop in and say something. So, you didn't have any super chat availability, so I just saw it. Followed the link here to the live stream, and
all right, there we go. We checked it. We fixed it. It's done. Boom. Look at there.
Boom. Yeah,
that's the kind of shit right there. When I see Globies, they go, "Oh, you used the wrong spelling of your." I'm like, so that tells me you don't have shit. Right there, that's what you had to go was grammar. So, you know, and I don't never profess to be the most grammarly, but I'm better than most. I'm better than most. I have a pretty good understanding, but I did not know that with throws. THRO.
How dare you?
But has it always been like that, or is it a Mandela? I don't know.
Well, I do agree that you should always know the spelling of stuff, but you know, sometimes the spell checker turns into a spell effer. You know what I'm saying? And it screws up your word no matter what you try to do. And so I just say, you know what, live with it. You're gonna have to learn to live with it, because the spell checker it doesn't like me. And whenever I try to like let it fix the word, it spells it wrong anyway. I don't know why it does that. But then by the time I realize that, I've already hit enter, and it's like, oh well, what am I gonna do now?
Do they? Well, it's like for my whole life, you could a lot, ALOT, right? Now apparently that's wrong. It's been A and space lot, and I'm like, no, it was a lot, ALOT, man, like it meant a lot. And I'm like, it's like now it's never been that. But see, that's the thing too. Like if you look at the old English spelling of words and shit too, the word move is MOOVE. Like moo cow in Old English. So there's been, move, bitch, get out the way, bitch.
Yeah, apparently people didn't know how to spell back in the day, I suppose.
Well, it's
now you know where the move over bacon thing came from.
No, they've actually changed spellings here in recent years. In actual Old English is in the King James Bible, the original King James Bible. And in fact, the English language was actually developed for the King James Bible because people weren't really speaking it. Have you ever watched, what was that show? It's really good because they speak in that language there. On Vikings, when they like attack Northumberland and areas like that in different parts of England. And this is like way back in it. And these people are speaking, it's like, it's not English. It's like a Gaelic type thing. But anyway, the English language was developed for the King James Bible. And as you look at these spellings, like I spelled my dog's name in Old English. It's moon shadow, but it's Moone, and shadow is SCHADOWE.
Well, and like Norwegian is really interesting because it's more related to the grammar of Old English, Old/Middle English. So they have two different words for you. So you say "Hvor er du," which is "How are you," and that's equivalent to the Middle English "How art thou?" And then,
Right.
but if you're like, "Oh, I like you," you say "Jeg liker deg," and that's equivalent to "I like thee."
Okay. Okay.
And it's just an interesting follow through because I lived in Norway for 2 years and I learned the language, and the whole time that I'm talking in Norwegian, I'm just having to interpret to Middle English, you know, saying in terms of phrase kind of thing. And it was
Sure enough.
it felt kind of epic, but you know, I was just a stupid poor Texan, so they eventually kicked me out of the country back in 2013.
Yeah, the AI CXL, that AI is in on it, man. It's in on it. The freaking King James Bible even changing. Where are you staying on Mandela effects, Kevin?
Are we talking about legalese or are we talking about English?
Where am I seeing?
I mean, yeah, I mean, are you are you familiar with? Have you had any Mandela effects? Are there any Mandela effects that you recognize, or?
The one that I am aware of is the Berenstain Bear.
Okay.
And it's Bernstein or Berenstain, and then, you know, so part of me is like with the Mandela effect is like, you know, I was, you know, a child when I read Berenstain Bear books, and so of course I'm not going to remember exactly stuff, but yeah, so like I'm kind of 6 of one, half dozen of the other with response.
What about biblically? Are you well versed biblically?
I am fairly.
Are you? In Isaiah 16:11, what's the or 11:6? What is the animal that lies down with the lamb?
Well, I mean
in the King James.
Right. I mean that's one of the effects that that I became aware of because it was the lion or the lion lies down with the lamb, or
now,
it's the wolf, right?
Yeah. And here's what's so crazy about it is, and man, there's some guys on here and also on Facebook that I'm connected with too that are also here on YouTube all the time finding residue of that lion and lamb. There are so many works of art, placards, commemorative plates and things, tombstones, all of that, and referencing the lion and the lamb, but apparently it's never been that. It's now been the wolf, and it's now wolf will dwell with the lamb, which is like, and that just gives me this vibe of
the one that really gets both of us is that God's name is jealous. That one really just struck the crap out of me. I was like, wait a minute, come on, dude.
Because I knew before it said that he was a jealous God, but now it says his name is jealous.
It said Jehovah is a jealous God. It didn't say God's name is jealous. At least I don't think so.
No, and what was really weird about that, and that's what I'm talking about, like divine intervention, or if you want to call it that. I've told about this before. I got this Bible up at the Goodwill store, so I had one that I could mark up for these Mandela effects as I find them. And so I was in here and I went to the Exodus page and where that change is at. And it says, for thou shalt worship no other God, for the Lord whose name is jealous is a jealous God. And I was like, man, that's crazy. It's capitalized, everything. So I went to flipping the pages and a little piece of paper fell out. And it was obviously something that some previous owner of this Bible had used as a bookmark. It fell out on the floor. I picked it up, and the only thing written on it was a verse, and it was Psalm 83:18. And just for shits and giggles, I went, I wonder what that says. So I went to Psalms 83:18, and it says that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Jehovah, art the most high over all the earth. And I was like, what's the odds that right after highlighting that bizarre case of him being named jealous, me recognizing that that's wrong, and then this falls out of the Bible and directs me right to the scripture where it gives his name.
Well, it makes you wonder about the divinely inspired.
Yeah.
Tells me that guy's trying to say something.
I mean, that's just...
Or that's the universe trying to point out and saying, hey, this book has been fucked with.
Yeah. But how does it get fucked with sitting on a shelf? Right? This ain't like somebody reprinted it.
It would only be spiritual. Like maybe spiritually something's changed in our minds. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. All I know is it's
really weird because it's like,
that's all I know.
Brian Staveley calls them the Mandela burglars. He says this only means one of two things: that there are supernatural, our reality is fluid, or there are these really stealthy Mandela burglars that go into people's houses when they don't know it and change their Bibles with exact replicas and change the movies on their shelves. And, no, man, somebody's Nest camera would have picked that up by now.
Right. I mean, but then you can also get into the whole conspiracy theory of like, the Bible is like
the camera. I'm sure they can avoid it.
The Bible is like gender; it's fluid, right? I don't want to tread that water there.
Well, no, that's not what I mean. I mean, those are pretty well set in stone. You either have XY chromosomes, or you have X, or you have the double X chromosomes. That's all you have. There's only the two sets. Okay.
I do have a friend that I grew up with who is an XXY.
Okay.
And so she identifies as a female, but she has, and I don't remember what the name of the condition is called.
Hermaphrodism?
Hermaphrodite.
It's not hermaphrodism, but it's an XXY. And
so
and she's infertile and going to have a shortened lifespan.
No, that's
exactly. There does exist some in the middle, but they cannot reproduce. Exactly.
That's an anomaly. That's an anomaly. And I would say on a micro level.
She's a college mathematics professor now.
Wow. But yeah, I mean, as far as that's concerned, no. As far as reality being fluid, and this is what gets me, is because there's a lot of us that have realized the same effects, right? We all like with the fruit of the loom, that not everyone, but most people in the community, there's certain ones that they're just like, no, fuck you. Ed McMahon passed out big checks. We know he did. We watched him do it. We wished he would come to our door, shit like that. So you got to think, though, how many have happened that we just took the download and we don't know, we don't realize. They've just happened and we don't realize it. If there are some that we have realized, how many have actually happened that we don't? Because this isn't something that affects everybody.
And like, just as an estimate, what percentage would you say that, the Mandelas that we recognize and notice versus those that we don't?
I think on this level, everyone in some way, shape, or form has been Mandela affected. I really don't, or I'd like to say reality challenged. Because this is getting beat up, this Mandela term, and this is this Brianna Foom, or whatever her name was, Fiona Broom, that was her name. She came up with this because of one of the Mandela effects. People remember Mandela dying and then he died again. Okay. Mm-hmm. There's much more profound changes in reality that have occurred outside of that. I like to call it reality changes or something along those lines, but most people recognize Mandela effect. Some of these are really quite heavy duty, iconic things that we remember. I mean, so much so that it's almost like smack in your face.
Out of curiosity,
some of them, when there's some of them that when I tell people, I'm like, look, and I show them that it's like that. And they're like, fuck you, no way. I know it was that other way. I was like, welcome to the club now. There's always something.
So do you know about Nelson Mandela's wife,
Winnie?
Winnie?
Yeah, she was a real rough character.
And that she would execute people by necklacing with a
Yeah.
tire filled with
Yeah.
gasoline and
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah. I was alive at during those days. I remember hearing about that on the news and shit, man.
Right. And he's always put forward as like this hero of the people and peace and da da da.
Well, sure. It's going to fit the communist line.
Right.
Wow. That's what they do. They always make these guys out to be here. How many regal statues of Lenin and Stalin did we see in the former Soviet Union? These guys were made out like gods in bronze, right? But they were ruthless murderers.
Right. And then during the Black Lives Matter protest in 2020 or 2021, I don't remember which, there were a bunch of people that were going and pulling down a statue.
Yeah, yeah.
And I saw it live when it happened, and one of the guys had the statue actually pulled down on his head, and he just like collapsed and just fell because he had a big massive stone statue on him. And so, but I can't find that anymore anywhere.
Yeah, I've seen that I've seen that before. It was in a Darwin Awards video clips. Yeah, I mean, think. You think. That's all I'm saying. A lot of people, they don't think of the repercussions of what's going to happen next. I'm going to pull this statue down. Dude, you're pulling it right toward yourself. And be like a guy climbing out on a limb and then sawing it off in front of himself. Like, oh, wait, you're going to saw it off of the part you're sitting on. No, dumbass, turn around. There's just people do some of the dumbest shit and they don't think. And I think that that's the fault of our education system, because children are discouraged actually from thinking and encouraged to memorize and absorb without question.
I am so blessed that, because I was born in '83, and then I have never been to a public school.
Good for you.
Because I had a hearing difficulty when I was that age and needed to get into school. And so my parents decided to homeschool me and my older sister. And people were like, oh, I mean, homeschooling, you didn't have a chance to socialize and you don't have a good education. And like, oh my God, I can't even imagine being in a public school and growing up with that. In my senior year of high school, I went and I did a double credit at a local junior college, and then went to university, and other people that went to public school, we were sitting there talking, and they're just like wondering where the breadth of this conversation comes from, and ideas that I have, and things that I talk about, and questions that I ponder, and all of that. And like, homeschooling is the shit. I love it.
Yeah. Well, listen, I learned to read before I went to school, because I was very inquisitive. I was a very inquisitive child, so I was always asking questions. So I remember I got an encyclopedia set. I'm really young. I was only, I think, 4 years old, and I got a encyclopedia, and I thought that was neat. I'd sit there and look through it all day, man.
Yeah, totally.
And, but if I had a question, my folks would say, well, let's go look it up. And so we'd go to the volumes there, and dad or mom would say, okay, so we want to know about the moon. All right, well, what's that start with? M. All right, we'll get the book that says M. So we get the one that says M. And I learned how shit was listed in alphabetical order. I learned how to read, and they'd go along with me, and they'd say, hey, read that next paragraph. And I'd go through it, and they would let me sound it out and then correct me if I'd sounded it out correctly or incorrectly. And so consequently, when I got to school, I was like, why did you stick me in here with these fucking people? What in the hell are you people doing? I thought I was going to advance on what I already know. No, I got in trouble for knowing more. See, Quit
My
reading
condolences,
ahead.
man.
We're not there yet. Well, motherfucker, I'm there. Let's get on with it. Why is it taking you so long to get there? That's what really frustrated the shit out of me. So as soon as I found out I could quit school, I was gone. I was out. It's like, fuck all this. I don't even need it. And consequently, I haven't. Anything I've needed to learn, I learn it myself. All the information people are paying thousands and thousands of dollars to receive, you can get anywhere, right? The only thing you don't get with it is some little piece of paper signed by the wizard. Well, proof's in the pudding, man. You know, what good is it going to be? Does it really make me smart to fill my head with nonsense, regurgitate that nonsense back to you so that you can give me a paper to verify that I'm smart? No, parrots can remember shit and regurgitate it. Does it make them smart? Not a bit. Not a bit. What are they going to do with that information? And some of these degrees, what in the hell kind of a job is going to be waiting for you if you've got a master's degree in gender studies? To me, that sounds like somebody spent a lot of time looking up people's skirts and down their pants. I don't know any job other than TSA that's going to be useful for. So, I mean, you see, this is what I'm saying. There's too much emphasis placed on the importance of academia when academia has turned out to show that it isn't worth spit. Where's everybody going? Am I still going? There we go. There's Ryan. I was like, everybody's bailing.
Sorry about that. No, I didn't bail. It's just I was in Lowe's and I had to put my phone in my pocket to like do my transaction, and then I hit the damn back button and it freaking you know how it works.
It's a big problem, Luch. You're a big fucking problem. There you go.
Oh, is he here?
Oh God, you believe the Earth is flat? There's a big problem. Just shut the fuck up, Luch.
Is that the problem? Poor Luca. Poor Luca. He just needs attention all the time. Man.
God damn it, we're not going to tolerate that. But let's finish watching Sabina here real quick. Let me see. Casey's messaged me. What did he say? We've got. Don't forget, guys. Tomorrow. Let me pull that back up. So
we'll love you tomorrow.
Yeah, right. Tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon, actually at 4:00 Eastern Daylight Time, which is going to be 1:00 Pacific Time. We're going to have a debate on Jeranism's Debatism X between Flatzoid Perspective and Bob the Science Guy. And the topic is going to be Coriolis and flight dynamics. So that should be a good one. I'm going to put that here in the chat. So everybody can go over there and see that tomorrow. That should be a really good one. I'm putting it over here for you too, Leo Slayer, if you're still watching over on the Rumble side. It's the only person I had in the chat so far over there. He said he hates YouTube, so I don't blame you, Leo. I don't like fucking YouTube either, but it reaches the wider audience. We're working on building it up over there on Rumble. So if you're not subscribed to my Rumble channel, go over to SSUM369 on Rumble. Subscribe to the channel. We will be doing some streams over there exclusively, talking about some of the taboo subjects that are not allowed to be spoken about here on YouTube. Primarily things about events that may or may not have happened in Europe between the years of 1936 and 1945. Various psyops that have taken place in the last 4 years, that kind of thing. You know, that's what we do.
Yeah. Ones that you might need medical know-how to know whether they're true or not.
So with no further ado, here's the last 2 minutes of Sabina Hassenpfeffer doing her thing. I wish she would stop talking like her jaws are wired shut. You know? Watch her. She's like she's got her mouth is wired shut.
She sounds like Ray T.
Snippy. real
She
snippy,
does.
man.
Have you heard Rachel's voice? She sounds a lot like her.
Oh my God, I was having real trouble. I'd heard about enough of it the other day on Flatzoid. Holy sheep shit. What
I didn't
what
mean to
an
bring it
angry,
up, but you know.
yeah, she's an angry little thing. Anyway,
She's never
Didn't
been
make
angry
the
with me
decline of
before. I don't know what's going on with
disruptiveness
that.
go away. The disruptiveness of patterns still drops, just not as much. And it didn't change anything about the conclusion that research papers have become less disruptive. So basically, the title of the press release is nonsense. All these analyses draw the same picture. Scientific progress is declining. And why is that? There are three major hypotheses. The first,
oh my God, Dr. Evil's helper. Remember in Austin Powers? Remember that chick?
Mini-me.
That,
Oh, the chick?
yeah, that
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
yeah, the one that goes,
she does sound like her too, yeah.
is the one that most scientists prefer. Deny that a problem exists and insist everything is going just fine. The second
right,
is
it's like
that there's
she's
just
gritting her
nothing
teeth.
left to discover. This is the death rattle of science and the disease is fatal. The third is that the current way of organizing scientific research impedes progress by rewarding productivity over usefulness. Personally, I think it's all my fault because I still haven't found a way to make cold fusion work. Knowledge is power. I really believe that. And there's no better place to grow your knowledge than brilliant.org.
Okay, so Sabina, here's the thing though. If your knowledge is faulty, as I pointed out to you in your comments, if your knowledge is faulty or based on a false premise or an assumption, then it isn't really knowledge, it's belief. And if you try to build technology off of belief, you're not going to get anything. You're going to get crap. That's it. So no more of you tonight, Sabina. I invited her to come on the show anytime that I'd like to discuss her false, ignorant ideas of what flat Earth actually is. I told her that. I said, you have a very childlike understanding of what flat Earth actually is. I don't know if that's by design or if that's truly your belief. But either way, it needs to be.
That might not have been the right thing to say to a woman the first time you speak to her, but I could be wrong. Telling her she's wrong. I mean, you might want to warm up to that one instead of telling her right off the top, bro.
I bet she is, brilliant in some areas, but where it comes to, I mean, this is what gets me. I can't believe these people are actually professors of physics and still believe that this theory of gravity can contain an atmos. I want to see a demonstration of that. And don't tell me it's too big. That's what she said. I don't even want to hear that.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, she always says that. Yeah. Especially when her
right. I mean, and it never is. So I don't even want to go to the point, where it's like, wait a minute, you have to be able to demonstrate a complete violation of entropy successful. And you can't. And if the only example you have of such a condition is the very thing in question, then you don't have anything at all. You have a belief, and that's all. It just turns out to be a belief. So anyway, I've had some pretty cool shit I found here on Twitter this week, and I don't know. We'll look at some of it. It's kind of random. Something to do with what we talk about most of the time, but mostly within the realm of what we do here. This is interesting. I wanted to show you all this. We say, oh, are all the space agencies in on it? Well, I'm going to show you that no, they're not. No, they're not. I want to take a look at some of the latest footage from the Chinese doing a spacewalk, and on the equivalent of what they say is, aren't they supposedly got a space station up there too, right? I mean, isn't that
I guess
what
so.
they got their own
I've never
space
heard of
station?
such a thing, but I guess so. I guess every country does, according to
Well,
people who live.
what I'm getting at is how come everybody says they see the International Space Station, but nobody ever sees the Chinese space station? How come?
Maybe you're seeing both. I have no idea.
I don't know, man. Maybe the one slanted.
You know
that's at
what?
the
There's
wrong
so
angle.
many hundreds of questions that I could ask that no one can answer, but yet they tell me that they know what they're talking about. And I ask them these questions and they go, I don't know. And I go, well, then why is it that you seem to think that you know what the shape of the earth is when you don't seem to know really anything? When I ask you, you don't seem to know squat, but yet you're telling me I must be wrong. It's like, maybe you should start listening to your own argument, you know?
That's why when it comes right down to it, it's belief. You see, you understand? It's belief.
As much as I don't want to admit that, it's true. It is. I think anything is. Anytime you make yourself believe something, even if you know it's wrong, but you just tell other people that, you're still manifesting, you know? Yeah. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a belief system, you know, and they give you some little mind candy and shit like this to keep you occupied.
Of course, yeah, it's stuff that sounds really like it might mean something, but it's really just, you know, just that.
You want to know why the people in China aren't wondering where the curve's at? And you'll see why. It's because it's against the law to wonder why. That's it.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say they die for that stuff, so they don't.
Now, I got a problem with this hatch. Hold on a second here too. Does this not look bigger than the hole he just opened up? I mean, that looks like a pretty small opening compared to what we're seeing on the outside. I mean, that's like a dryer or a washing machine, maybe.
You do realize that if you go through these with a fine-tooth comb, you'll find hundreds of reasons why it's not real.
He's got all this bullshit on, and he's supposed to fit through that little hole. And then in the next scene, you see him coming out of a bigger
Maybe he
hole.
undresses and he goes outside, but he puts it back on. Because he'll only fit through the hole if he's in his skivvies, right?
Did you see our beautiful globe Earth in the background? Look at this.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it looks pretty flat, doesn't it? It looks like there's a light shining on it. It looks like that's a light from the spacecraft shining on the ground. So it looks like it's probably the warehouse floor.
Yeah, 17,500.
Look, they're showing a flat surface. That's interesting. Yeah. Maybe they are going up there.
Look at this.
Well, at least it's more believable, even though that launch that they did on the moon the other day was really ridiculous.
I don't know what that says in Chinese down there.
But I still think they're obfuscating it. I still think they're blacking out the background. I just find it hard to believe that they would show you the truth. I mean, if you were the one paying all that money and doing all that, and you were really going to space, why would you show anybody else anything, right? Like,
I think that looks exactly like the Kung Pao chicken on my Chinese menu in the kitchen. I have a takeout menu. I swear that's Kung Pao chicken.
They all look the same to me, but my daughter's taking a class and she's taking Japanese and she's starting to be able to read that, but I don't know. It didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's funny how they need to be tethered, but the equipment doesn't.
Well, you notice that now it's like blacked out completely. So it's like when they want you to see something, they'll let you in. When they don't, they just black it out. And NASA does the same thing. If you look at a lot of the NASA videos, especially like the missions, you know, like the one that exploded and supposedly killed all the astronauts. Well, that particular space program, there's lots of footage of them where they might actually be showing us the truth, but then, you know, of course, nobody trusts them now. So why would you believe if they showed you the truth? You know, why would you believe it, right? And that's why I always tell people maybe you should watch those videos, because there's hours and hours and hours of this crazy stuff, like where there's space tether. Like that's the one I've been showing everybody lately. It's like they tether it, but there's nothing attached to it. Supposedly they're tethering to something, but what are they tethering to? It doesn't tell you that. It doesn't explain any of that. It just shows this cable going out into space and just like infinitely just going and disappearing into nowhere. And they're like, they show it break away from the ship, but then they just show this coiled up rope like in the sky. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't like move. It doesn't like, you know, you would think that it would come back to them or go flying out into space, right? But it doesn't. It just kind of stays hovering there, like it's still
Right.
just suspended in space. It's weird. It's just weird, right? It's just like, wait a minute, if this is true, then what's going on here, right?
And you think they learned their lesson too, didn't those?
Right.
When they had that all-female spacewalk, the broad dropped their toolbox and lost it, and it was like in orbit now. I mean, come on,
right.
this story they give you, it's just,
You know, if that were true, then why wouldn't every once in a while just a piece of space debris just land in your backyard?
it does.
You know what I'm saying? Like it would, right?
Yeah.
But I don't ever. Have you ever seen anything fall out of the sky that wasn't like that you didn't expect to, that you couldn't explain any other way except like an airplane flying over something? I mean, come on,
Well,
things don't just fall out of the sky, right?
You remember in the Truman Show when
Yeah, where Canis, yeah.
It was the
The
serious
dog star, serious, the dog star, but it said Canis something on the back of it, yeah.
then they cover it by coming on the radio and saying, "Oh, an airplane lost a piece on its flight over our town today."
Yeah, it lost a piece of its fuselage, right? That's a big old spotlight, stage spotlight.
That was
I'm smarter than that. I would have known the difference between a space light and a light rocket.
That movie is
movie was funny because when it first came out, I thought it was just a dumb movie because I didn't think him doing serious movie would be funny, but that movie was funny because I didn't realize what it was about at first. I thought it was just a dumb movie, right? Like, kind of like, you know, the Spotless Mind or whatever the other one he did, you know, Sunshine of the Spotless Mind or whatever the hell it's called. But there's a couple of movies where he just did weird parts in there, and I thought it was just weird. But then when I started thinking about what the movie was really about, I was like, wait a minute. But it never really like occurred to me. But I'll tell you what movie did occur to me though, The Cable Guy. That movie has a lot of stuff. I mean, if you pay real close attention to the stuff he says, he brings out stuff in movies that when you go back and watch those scenes, you go, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You know, it starts making you think that maybe he's trying to tell you something. But I don't know. Maybe movies are like that on purpose. Who knows?
There's a Ryan Reynolds movie, pretty recent too, called Free Guy.
Oh yeah, I think I heard
that one is really good too. There's a lot in that one too. There really is, on a few levels. I've seen it I've watched it like 6 times because after I saw it, I was like, I'm gonna watch it again. I'm gonna pick up some more out of this watch, and I did.
But my favorite Ryan Reynolds is definitely.
Then watching it more is because I have a friend of mine, friends would come over, and I say, "Have you seen that movie?" And they're like, "No." I say, "You want to watch it?" And they're like, "Yeah." So they'd be watching it, and then they'd be mind blown, you know, because I'm like, "You see what they're showing you, man? You see what they're telling you?" And then on the other level of it too, because it was even like the story of creation and the devil taking over the world, you know, that whole fucking thing is in that movie. So it's really, I'm gonna publish my list, I think, in a community post of what my favorite must see wake up movies are. You know, and of course the Matrix will be on there, Truman Show, Free Guy, Wag the Dog is.
Don't forget Dark City. Dark City was the prequel to the Matrix, by the way.
Have you ever seen Wag the Dog?
Did you know? Yeah.
No,
yeah. I've seen Wag the Dog many a times. Oh yeah.
Yeah, right.
That movie is once you've seen that movie, if you don't realize that what's going on, then something's wrong with you, right?
So what's your thoughts on this Aurora Borealis that we've been seeing, man?
Well, okay. I have not seen it with my own eyes.
I haven't seen it. I haven't. Just for the record.
But tonight, if it's still there tonight, I'm going to be looking.
Right.
But yeah,
right.
Yeah, for sure.
So just to make this clear, the Aurora Borealis that people are claiming to see. Listen, I haven't seen it. Then I heard, you have to use a camera or something to be able to see it. And then I even used my camera and shit, I still didn't see it. And I still haven't seen it. And I don't know what it is. But I know that if people are seeing something, I don't think there's any way in hell that it's actually the Aurora Borealis. And they're covering it by putting out all this theory that it's HAARP. But even then, I don't see it, man. I don't see it. This guy, he's kind of on the same page. Let me show you this. What do you think? I mean, have you seen it?
I haven't seen it, but I do have a couple of friends of mine that I slightly trust that are telling me that they've seen videos, but I don't know. Did they take the video or did they just see it? You know, like when something comes out on TikTok, I usually wait and I look and I watch and I do a little research because I don't believe everything. And especially when it sounds like it's going to answer some big question that everybody's been asking the question to, right? I don't believe that you're just going to find an answer that easy. So I'm always skeptical. So I always go and I look for stuff and I wait a few days. I don't tell anybody. But you know what's funny is that I'll hear usually something I'll see like a week before. Then all of a sudden Flatsoy is talking about it. Everybody's talking about it. And I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, just wait it out. I bet you're going to find out it's not true. And everybody starts talking about it. And what happens? The same thing I said was going to happen. We find out it was just a bunch of crap and somebody fooled us, right? And it's like, dude, why do you guys fall for this shit every time? It's like, you know, when Austin first started talking about the ether and all this shit, I go, this is going to blow by. Watch. It's going to blow past and it's going to disappear again. And then it's going to come back and then everybody's going to start believing it. Watch. Sure enough, it did exactly that. It went quiet for a while after Austin started putting it out there. Everybody started saying, oh, no, we're not going to talk about ether, blah, blah, blah. And now, look, everybody's starting to accept it now. They're starting to say, oh, yeah, I believe that there's infinite electricity and all this other horse shit. It's like, come on, dude. Like, are you serious? What is it? It's like a bandwagon thing for me, you know? Like,
energy needs a medium to travel. I believe that 100%.
No, I believe that there's electricity in the sky, but it's not enough to run my air conditioner, guys. Come on. You know, like you could charge a battery maybe, but
electricity within the aether. It's not necessarily electricity itself. It's a strange thing. We'll get into that one night. I would like to talk about it because it wasn't until
I would too. I mean, if there's something I don't know and this maybe holding me back, I'd love to see, you know, if you guys.
They removed it actually from the table of elements after Einstein. So
right. They did a lot of things that I wasn't aware of. I'm just finding out this the last few weeks. I was surprised about a couple of things. Like when they changed the amount of types of clouds, I was like, what? You're lying. I thought that was somebody was kidding.
Yeah. They weren't kidding. That's new. That's new, man. That's absolutely new. That they got.
And they didn't just add like 1 or 2. They added like 5 or something like that. I was like, what?
It's the cover for their frequency-based bullshit that they're doing, man. Listen what this guy says.
Well, of course.
Hey,
of
I'll
course.
tell you what. If you're going to buy into that Aurora Lights bollocks, then you really need your head testing. Do you really believe in that? I mean, how many people was out looking at that? And I see people posting videos saying, oh, look, if you're going to fall for that, then you're totally gone. You don't even believe they're spraying the skies. The next thing they'll be doing is they'll be showing you Jesus and Muhammad coming down, holding hands. Come on, man.
And you'll be saying, oh, it's really the God.
Really and truly.
Yeah, right.
Otherwise, you're going to be so far gone, there'll be no helping you. Really. Hey, peace. Wake up.
So I'm kind of like that too. I was like, could this be like a test run for Bluebeam? And I was gonna, where is that? I got a little video of a holographic Jesus.
Well, you know what I tell everybody? I say, just remember when you start to see, I told everybody this, everybody that thinks I'm crazy, I always tell them, I said, just remember this, in the next 20 years, I said, if you start to see stuff in the sky that you've never seen before, like lights, like comets, like all kinds of things that you've never heard of, never seen before, I said, don't believe them until they touch the fucking ground and you can touch them. I said, because I guarantee you, what's going to come soon is going to be this big old scare thing where they got everybody convinced that some things are true, but in reality, it's just their technology. It's the crap that they're testing right now. And I've been telling people this for the last 4 or 5 years. I said, the things with the fires and all that, this is all the same thing. It's all they're testing out their weapons before they do their little thing that they're going to do.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I think is.
But I'm telling you, bro, some of that stuff's come true, and it's like people have went like, dude, you weren't kidding, were you? I said, I told you. Look at how many fires there are compared to what they tell you on TV. Then that'll tell you something.
These lights that they're seeing, I'm wondering, could it be northern and southern lights have been reported even before flight? Yes, they have. Not seen in the places where they're being seen. Nobody in the middle of the United States is witnessing northern lights. Not at this time of the year.
Well, it wouldn't be the northern lights anyway, though, right? It would just be some kind of an anomaly that makes us think that, because it's not like in sheets like what you see up north.
Quasar is, I think, a baller, and he really wants to hang on to this horse shit really hard.
A lot of people do. I'm sorry,
denying that there's northern and southern lights. No one's denying that at all, okay? And that they have been seen. The fact of the matter is they're being seen in places where they shouldn't be seen, okay? Where they're not normally seen, okay? And for a longer duration in time than they should be seen. That has to do with the mass. Well, that's what you say. You also say it's due to some coronal mass ejection 93 million miles away, and we know that's horse shit. So why would we listen to you? Here's what they can do with that shit. I mean, criminy, are we ready for... They were going to run this shit back in the 60s to distract all of Cuba for an invasion. Blue beam's not new, man. Quasar, go ahead and okay.
I know it's not new. How else do you explain all these UFOs and all these weird things in the sky that everybody sees? I've even seen stuff that I can't explain. I swear to God, something looked at me, bro. It looked at me, and then the light went out. And I'm telling you, I got scared, and I went in the house. It scared me good.
Well, I'll show you something. This is pretty cool. This is some stuff that's coming out. Have you ever heard of Stu Peters? Oh, and Quasar, you're welcome to click that link and come up anytime. That's what I wanted to.
I think I've heard of him, but I don't know for sure. You have to tell me what he said or whatever before I'll.
Oh yeah, he's okay. So he put a thing out on he was talking on his show. He said the U.S. Navy confirms that there's a warm, mineral-rich oasis on the other side of the Antarctic ice wall. So this is kind of interesting.
Was backed by the United States Navy and documented firsthand by the Byrd expedition to Antarctica. It wasn't until years later that this information was memory hold, but it still exists. And in this video clip, you can see it for yourself. You can hear the narrator describe the warm water Antarctic oasis that's full of coal and other vital minerals. Watch.
Bunger leans forward in amazement. His eyes have caught a sudden and unbelievable change in scenery. The universal white is turned to chocolate brown, dotted with blue. A cameraman goes into action. 300 square miles of land without snow. Land that might be in New Mexico or Arizona. Pictures alone will prove Bunger has discovered a warm oasis in the shadow of the pole. It is for such supreme moments as this that men brave the hardships of exploration. The astounding, undreamed of fact is that they are over a chain of warm water lakes, whose shores, except for small patches, are free of ice and snow. Commander Bunger circles the largest lake in sight, 5 miles long. He comes in to make a landing. Water temperatures must be recorded. Sample was taken. He finds the water fresh, the temperature 38 degrees Fahrenheit. On the shores are vast deposits of coal and of minerals of the utmost importance to civilization.
So that actually happened, and the United States government admitted it. So now the question is, what else did they find? There's been reports that in this secret diary kept by Admiral Richard Byrd, he described a lush green region of Antarctica. He called it the other side of Antarctica. He said that it was beyond a massive ice wall. There's been claims which have been reported by mainstream outlets like the History Channel that Byrd said that he encountered some type of advanced civilization during his time at our so-called South Pole. But what we do know for sure is that the years after Operation High Jump, Admiral Byrd went on live TV and described a massive untouched region on the other side of Antarctica and its ice wall. He said that it's at least the size of the United States and that it's full of the world's most sought-after minerals. Take a look.
Is there any unexplored land left on this earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. And not up around the North Pole, because it's getting crowded up there now, because they find out it's really usable, not only to live in, but militarily. But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
That's a tremendous
So
challenge.
there's a lot of adventure left down at the bottom of the world.
Admiral,
We've found enough coal within 180 miles of the South Pole in a great ridge of mountains. It's not covered with snow, enough to supply the whole world for quite a while.
Well,
that's the coal. Now, there's evidence of many other minerals. We're pretty sure there's oil. Now, that coal shows the bottom of the world. Now, by far, the coldest spot in the world. Where that coal is gets 100 below zero in the winter.
Well,
it was once tropical. So we think there's oil there, and there's evidence, probably uranium there.
Isn't it?
You know, it's pretty obvious. There are many things that we just don't know, that we aren't allowed to know about Antarctica. And it's worth noting that even if you wanted to start looking into it and you had the financial capability and the resources to start looking into it, you can only do so much research because you're not allowed to investigate Antarctica firsthand. No, treaties signed by countries from all over the planet bar private exploration of Antarctica and anywhere remotely close to it.
So that brings me to this movie I found. I went to show it one night. YouTube shut me down. It's called The Land Beyond. I believe it's 1950. Let me see if I can find it real quick. What year it was? The Land Beyond. Oops. There we go. Where is it? No. Where's that movie? Damn it. I think I might have the wrong name. Anyway, this movie was following up Admiral Byrd's high jump mission. And they were talking to a bunch of scientists and showing parts of that movie right there, that very film footage we saw, to the other scientists. And they were going to continue on with the expedition. And they got there and, of course, went through the snowy, icy area. And then they came to an area that was tropical. And they were, ran across dinosaurs and shit like that. Of course, it was a 1950s B-grade movie. But what was interesting is this movie was based off of what Byrd had found there. And then boom, all the movies from there went to, oh, no, fuck that. Go into space, go into other planets and all this other dumb shit. Mm-hmm. See, man, that's going to bug the hell out of me until I find that. I have it on my computer. Let me see. Maybe in that.
It's funny. When I was a kid, They Live was my favorite movie. I used to watch it like every weekend at least, maybe more often. And there's been a few other movies that I've really liked that I've watched over and over. But They Live was one that everybody always gave me a hard time about. They were like, this movie's dumb. I'm like, no, it's not. I said, it's scary because it could be true, right? And it was the same thing of like, when The Matrix came out, I was like, you know why this movie's scary? Because it could actually be true. Like there is a possibility that in some weird, strange future that people could really actually create something that actually could take over and take their lives away and use them as like the same way they use their robots. That would make sense.
Right.
And that's why that movie was like dumbfounded me. When I saw that movie, I was just like, I couldn't believe it. It was like, wow, I never thought of this idea, like this is crazy. And it almost scared me a little bit. I was like, you know what, this could actually be true. But you know what, the funny part is that now that I look at it, it is an analogy of real life. It's exactly what it is. It's basically another author or another, very intelligent person trying to tell you something, but doing it in a way that you think is just in some kind of entertaining way. But in reality, they're trying to show you something in reality. But see, you would never know that if you aren't smart enough to listen,
Man,
but now that movie, everybody talks about that movie. Everybody likes that movie. Everybody keeps asking me, do you know that movie? I said, dude, I've been watching that movie since before you guys even knew what it was. Trust me.
Right. I'll have to find that.
I used to watch it on at least every weekend. I had that movie in there, and it was like Beverly Hills Cop was another one that I used to watch over and over and over. I love those movies, dude. And one that you said earlier about Coming to America, that was another one I liked too, but I didn't watch it as much. But I did like Beverly Hills Cop. That was one of my favorite movies when I was like a teenager. It was one of my favorites. Eddie Murphy was funny.
Yeah, that's a good one, and it takes place this year. The setting in Soylent Green is this year.
Oh, really? That's interesting, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
Well, we already know that there might be some proof of that, right? Like,
dude, I think a lot more than people realize.
I mean, if they're actually taking DNA out of people and then growing it and then putting it in our food, yeah, it's possible you're eating yourself, dude. You just didn't know it. But that's creepy because that would curse you, wouldn't it? Isn't it like against some kind of like law against God to eat people or to consume? I mean, I'm not saying that. I understand that God told people things so that they wouldn't get sick because they weren't smart enough to understand what bacteria was or whatever, or worms were, but I find it hard to believe that. I just find it hard to believe that people are now going against that completely the opposite direction, like as if it just doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, it's almost like I should have expected that, right? Like I didn't expect it, but I should have. Because when I was younger, I used to talk about how dumb everything was that adults talked about. I'd be like, you guys don't make any sense. You're always talking about this is going to happen, that's going to happen, but none of it ever really happens. They just convince you that something bad's going to happen until you respond to it, and then something bad happens because you're responding to it. I said, are you guys going to get smart and figure that out? And they never did. And now that I'm grown, it's the same way. No one seems to notice it except for a few people, and then most of those people no one listens to. It's like, wow. Like I heard somebody was playing a song earlier. It was an ODD song, and he mentioned Richie from Boston. I was like, wow, I didn't even know that Richie from Boston, and those two knew who each other were. But Richie from Boston has predicted a lot of stuff that's happened in the last 5-10 years, and I'm blown away by it. Like I was actually telling a friend of mine about something, and I told him, right, exactly what Richie had said. And then when those fires happened, everybody was like, "Are you kidding me?" And I was like, "I tried to tell you guys. I tried to tell you." And I was like, this guy's been saying this is going to happen. I don't know how he knows it, but he's got some kind of inside thing or something, bro. Like, it was weird.
I'm really wary. I'm wary of Richie from Boston merely after.
Me too, because he sounds paranoid. But you know what? I don't know.
Somebody puts their hand a certain way or whatever.
Yeah, I know.
Look,
well,
Illuminati. Look, that guy. If I, freeze frame me rubbing my eye and go, oh, look, he's doing the one eye thing, or that kind of shit. And I was like, this dude's off his
eccentricism doesn't necessarily mean that he's not genuine, though. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe he's just a little bit over the board, over the top. You know what I mean? Like some of us are that way, but I don't think that takes away from him being genuine. You know what I'm saying? Like I've never talked to the guy or met him or anything, but I'm just saying from what I've seen and the way he's reacted to other people, talk to him on the lives and things that I've watched. I think he's a good guy. I really believe that whatever it is he believes it because he's got some information. I don't know whether that information is valid or not, but I'm just saying he has seemed to have actually, because before, what came around, he was talking about it. He was talking about it. And I was like blown away when it happened. I was like, I can't believe he actually predicted that. Like, wait a minute, how that, like, there's got to be something to this, right? Like, how is that possible?
Oh my God.
But that wasn't the only thing either. You know what I mean?
Look at this shit. Look at here. Where's the edge? Gravity. Where's the edge? Sunsets. Blah.
I just tend not to believe this stuff. I mean, I know that there's old videos about all that stuff, but I don't. I never said there was.
No, that's what I'm asking Quasar. Who the fuck said there's an edge?
Oh, I know a lot of flat earthers believe that there's an ice wall, but I don't know. Maybe.
And were you not paying attention, Quasar? Were you not paying attention? You're not allowed to freely fucking explore, retard. Maybe if we were, somebody knows.
And while this may contradict everything that you've ever learned in public schools, all of your...
we stop and explain?
How do I know it's flat? What do you mean, how do I know it's flat?
Should we stop and explain?
Hold on a second. How do I know it's flat? What the fuck? Do you see a ball? Do you notice any fucking curvature anywhere at all, ever? No? How do I know it's flat? It's not flat. It's a level topographical plane. There ain't no curve anywhere. Shut up, Quasar.
Science teachers, what they told you about Antarctica, it was caught on film. And it was released to the public. Released to the public in a 1948 documentary called The Secret Land. 1948.
But that video right there that they just showed could literally just be a bunch of icebergs collection that they just went by when they were in the ocean somewhere in like a fishing boat and just been used. You know what I mean? That's why I don't believe this stuff necessarily. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying I'm going to be skeptical until I see some real solid evidence. You know what I mean?
So preponderance of evidence.
The public in a 1948 documentary called The Secret Land. 1948. What an interesting year. The film was backed by the United States Navy and documented firsthand by the Byrd expedition to Antarctica. It was an interior.
Hello, baby. There is no explanation necessary because that's not true.
But you know what? What makes more sense to me is during this time.
Christ. Water will go in whatever direction it is influenced to go. Doesn't matter. Otherwise, that would mean that my bathroom is on the equator because my toilet spins one way and my sink goes down the other way. And sometimes it goes down the same way. So I don't think Virginia is on the equator. So that's just crap, right? So there's no explanation needed for that. It's not true. Yes, you may if you can. You don't have a thing, so you'd have to come up here on panel and then put it in the private chat. Donald Piasek. Yeah.
Years later that this information was memory hold, but it still exists. And in this video clip, you can see it for yourself. You can hear the narrator describe the warm water Antarctic oasis that's full of coal and other vital minerals. Watch.
Bunger leans forward in amazement. His eyes have caught a sudden and unbelievable change in scenery. The universal white is turned to chocolate brown, dotted with blue. A cameraman goes into action. 300 square miles of land without snow. Land that might be in New Mexico or Arizona. Pictures alone will prove Bunger has discovered a warm oasis in the shadow of the pole. It is for such supreme moments as this that men brave the hardships of exploration.
Good to see you there, Flatzoid. I see you made it here. It's early morning in South Africa. Welcome. We announced your upcoming debate, and I emailed you as well, Flatzoid.
The astounding, undreamed of fact is that they are over a chain of warm water lakes, whose shores, except for small patches, are free of ice and snow. Commander Bunger circles the largest lake in sight, 5 miles long. He comes in to make a landing. Water temperatures must be recorded. Samples taken. He finds the water fresh, the temperature 38 degrees Fahrenheit. On the shores are vast deposits of coal and of minerals of the utmost importance to civilization.
Gold? I would say probably gold as well. I bet there's all kinds of shit down there.
So that actually happened, and the United States government admitted it. So now the question is, what else did they find? There's been reports that in this secret diary kept by Admiral Richard Byrd, he described a lush green region of Antarctica. He called it the other side of Antarctica. He said that it was beyond a massive ice wall. There's been claims which have been reported by mainstream outlets like the History Channel that Byrd said that he encountered some type of advanced civilization.
Yeah, this one had like another minute at the beginning of the other. I'll let it play through at the other. But there's some, I don't know whether to believe them or not. I've seen some video, and I'll show one showing some structures and buildings and things like that, ruins. And
bro,
just
I've seen better.
What?
From the same trip, I've seen pictures of the actual brackets that hold the dome up. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's true, bro.
I saw that video too, and I'm skeptical.
I'm skeptical, of course.
One that
but
showed those lights.
Why not?
Coming up on the thing.
I mean, if it is a dome, then God created it. He could have put it on brackets. It would make sense. He said there's foundations. I mean, wouldn't that fit right together with it? I mean, it does kind of fit together. If you think about it.
I don't know.
It has 4 corners, 4 winds. Like, think about it. Maybe that's what they're talking about, right? Like, we don't know. I mean, look at all the metaphors that we've already misguidedly thought it was the end of the world. Like, how many times in the 80s we talked about this? People were going crazy to saying that the end of the world was going to come on this day and that day. They did it I don't know how many times. And it was just like, come on, you guys. Would you quit messing around?
Right in Scripture. Listen, do you know that's where do you know where the Seventh-day Adventists came from? They came from a group
not necessarily.
Okay, so they came from a group called the Millerites. Okay, and it was this guy Miller, and he had predicted the day of the Lord's coming. And these people, they didn't plant crops. They didn't, they just, because it was a coming. And they all went up on this hilltop on that day waiting. And it didn't happen. And so he said, wait a second, I miscalculated based on some kind of crap that the Pope did with our calendar, blah, 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 blah. So he recalculated it. And once again, the followers that were still with him went ahead and they got up on this hill and they waited for this day, and it still didn't come. And so these people kind of broke up and said, yeah, this guy's full of shit. But they, through the doctrines that he was preaching, they became Seventh-day Adventists. So that's known in their history as the Seventh-day Adventists refer to that as the Great Day of Disappointment.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So there's been people preaching that the end's going to come and all this. I mean, You can commit.
Well, I mean,
You
remember
can
Y2K? Remember there was supposed
Yeah.
to be an ice age in 2020 or somewhere or whatever it was,
Oh
and
shit.
supposedly
We
we
were
would be
supposed to,
all
yeah.
underwater by now because the ice caps would have melted, which may or may not be true, but obviously there's a valve that keeps it from flooding, so
They've
obviously
been
we have nothing to worry about, right? You
they've
know, like
been they've
otherwise
been
it
gonna
wouldn't.
they've been gonna clone a fucking woolly mammoth since I was like 9. That was like 50 years ago.
But another reality is that if it's white, you know, if all these glaciers that are melting are white, then they're full of air, right? So when they melt, they would displace enough water, right? But they would also, you know what I mean? But melting would also raise it. So it seems to me like it would balance itself out. It would never like raise or lower. It just seems, but that's just, I don't know. That's just me. Maybe I'm wrong.
Quasar, if I was a glober, I wouldn't bring up tides at all because
Yeah,
there's
because tides
nothing
are
about a
different everywhere. And
globe
if
that
you look at the
tides would
information
work
about it,
on.
you'll realize.
There's no way. I mean, think about that. You got gravity of the moon is pulling water, but it's
Well,
not
first of all,
pulling
the
on
moon
the
only
air.
rotates around one time, and there's 2 tides. How does that work?
Well, a red car goes by my house every day, and about an hour later, my mail shows
Another
up.
red car goes by.
Therefore, that red car going by causes my mail to show up, right? No,
Maybe he's related.
it's not, or not. Just so happens it's just the fact that the car goes by, and it's not always hooked up with the moon. It doesn't always sync up with the moon. There's a whole lot of problems with tides that you want to get into. So what are tides? I can tell you what they're not. They're not the gravitational pull of the moon sucking on the water, because that's stupid. Okay, that's what they're not.
During his time at our so-called South Pole.
College,
but what we do know for sure is that the years after Operation High Jump, Admiral Byrd went on live TV and described a massive untouched region on the other side of Antarctica and its ice wall. He said that it's at least the size of the United States and that it's full of the world's most sought-after minerals. Take a look.
Is there any unexplored?
We saw this part. I mean, this part's been done to death, but I wanted to play it because it had added extra minute to it.
Like if we were still at war at this time, right? Where we were right around World War II.
After,
wouldn't it make sense that we would still be a little bit paranoid about what happened with the Germans and where they went and whether they had bases out there? And wouldn't it make sense that we would just say this, because then other countries might waste their resources going there to look? I mean,
well,
you know, you have to think about all the sides of it, right? Yeah.
I'm gonna break your whole little paradigm right apart, and everybody's at the same time.
I'm just throwing it out there. You know what I mean?
These countries, even though they send people to kill one another, are not really at war. Okay, they're in the same. They're all part of the same club. So they're not really at war. This is just a tool to keep you.
I've seen the pictures of Putin and Trump and all them together wearing their little suits with the little wizard outfits.
Yeah, it's just a big game. And
even Nelson Mandela wore that.
So there's I mean, we've really been in a one world government since at least the mid 40s, late 40s.
I've been saying the same thing
at the very least, if not before, because these people are always playing into one another's hands. It's like, oh shit, this happened. Oh shit, that happened. You know, playing it off like it's not planned, and it absolutely is. 100%.
The only reason why they're letting it out is because it happened so long ago. That's the only reason why we're allowed to know about it.
But we have achieved what's important. Now, Sabina was wondering why there's not really any advancements in technology, and I would say it's probably because they're too focused on shit that's dumb. For instance, NASA focusing on their diversity and how many gay people they have, or you know, the representation of women, and all this politically correct shit rather than just advancements, right? So this is the latest advancement, we're told.
Yeah, it's all this stroke and ego thing.
It's because, look, let's face it, every rocket looks like a right? Looks like a dick, right? It's a little
We gotta have
phallic
one that looks like
rocket all the time going up. In fact, they even move the camera so it looks like it's thrusting and shit, right? And that's really overrepresenting the men. So now what they have done is a tech firm has designed the first female genitalia shaped spaceship. So let's take a look at that.
I can't
More
wait to
power
see.
women. I say end women's suffrage.
Where's the cockpit? Is it in the clitoris?
Oh, it's not called that. It's called the man in the boat.
Oh my! I'm sorry. I forgot what I had to say.
The control room is in the CLT 01 is what they call that unit, the CLT 01. So that's the bridge. That's right. And
you're supposed to rock the boat.
Every time the ship has a male captain, he has a hell of a time finding the bridge because it's at the CLT 1. Anyway.
Well, that's why they glued fur around the edges. Yeah.
We are living in a time of a global pandemic. Oil and electricity.
Oops, hang on. I gotta do something with this. Man, why does that piss me off? There we go.
I wonder how all the new age guys do
and
it.
The climate.
Hey, I did that so we could hear it, and then you started talking over it.
I'm sorry.
We are living in a time of a global pandemic. Oil and electricity prices are soaring, and the climate crisis is threatening our very existence.
Fuck.
Meanwhile, billionaires are flying into space in rockets shaped like male genitalia. For us, this raised some very important questions. Shouldn't space be for everyone? And is a phallic-shaped rocket really the best way of getting there? We want to restore...
I think it's based on aerodynamics, just saying. Okay.
Gender equality to the
Because
cosmos.
you'd be flapping
So
in the
we
wind.
decided to revolutionize space travel forever. Introducing the Vulva spaceship. Together with scientists and space engineers.
Are the kids going to be able to watch that dock up to an Apollo? I mean,
it's bad enough they made Mother Mary look like a vagina, but now that they're doing this, it's just worse.
Oh my God, I know. Are the kids going to be, when they do their docking procedure with a rocket, are they going to actually be able to show that on TV? I'm just asking for a friend. They're now
They'll bleep it out and tell you, sorry, these messages are deleted for your to protect the innocent.
Right? Holy cow.
Engineers, we have developed the first spaceship shaped like female genitalia. Tests in our wind tunnel have revealed that our unique vulva design is far more effective than traditional rockets.
Hold on, wait a second. What's that? What's this part up here? What's this up here?
The crotch pit.
Oh my God.
They'll have to call it a crotch pit since it's not on a you know what. Are the initials of the first mission going to be TWAC?
Creating way less drag when the vehicle punches through the atmosphere. Due to this optimized V shape, it guarantees maximum fuel efficiency, and its exterior is made from reinforced carbon, enabling it to withstand the most extreme temperatures.
After all,
we believe this proves beyond doubt that it is indeed possible to have other symbols flying through space. We aim to lobby the European Space Agency, encouraging them to help realize this project. To do this, we need 500,000 signatures pledging support for our cause. Please sign the petition and share the project so we can show the world that female empowerment has a place in space.
So everybody go on over there and sign that petition to support the space vagina. We want to have that up there.
We can't put vaginas on Barbies, but we're going to put them on space.
It needs maintenance all the time. I heard it's closed down for maintenance.
You know, until you just told all the little kids that those were penises, they didn't know.
Right. Well, the thing is, requires.
But this is going to be obvious, isn't it?
It requires a lot of maintenance because it's usually down for repairs once a month. That's what I heard, anyway.
Yeah, at least 1 week.
But this is kind of cool. This thing is kind of cool. I don't know. I would just say be more careful, but this is a self-balancing motorcycle. I would say that this is kind of a
do they have to take off at the beginning of the
uses a gyroscope, which we've spoken about that device several times on this show and on Flatzoids. But this is pretty cool how it this motorcycle, you can't tip it over. So if you get hit by a car, then you're just like a mangled piece of meat on a motorcycle still going down the road, I guess. I don't understand. Anyway, I guess it's enclosed, but this is, see how this.
So you don't fall over it. Just what if they're going 80 miles per hour?
Oh, listen, wait a second. Hold on. He is saying something. Just
balancing fully enclosed electric motorcycle. At the heart of the AutoBalance electric vehicle is its cutting-edge gyroscopic technology, ensuring it remains balanced at all times. This allows it to tilt into corners with a lean angle of up to 45 degrees, offering an exhilarating ride that's also secure.
Did you see those two counter-rotating gyroscopes?
Mm-hmm.
So
they look like weights,
rotating, and that gives it even more stability.
Is that what that was?
Yeah,
I thought it was the weights that were used to balance.
Well, it's if you've got two gyros and they're both one's running one direction, the other one's running the other direction, then you've even eliminated
they would counter each other.
The
right?
torque.
Yes, they would.
Right? It's sort of the same thing as like they used to. You have a prop on one plane turns one way, on one engine turns one way, and the other prop on the other wing turns the other direction to eliminate the torque. That was one of the F4U Corsair.
Cuts down on drag, yeah.
When they came out with the F4U Corsair, used it in the Pacific. There was a lot of pilots crashed that thing and died because it was that engine was so powerful that the torque of the motor would actually cause the plane to tilt and smack its wing against the runway if they weren't careful, trying to get liftoff speed.
Wow.
Yeah.
And stable. Refueling is rapid and efficient. Achieve a full charge in just 5 minutes at a Tesla supercharger or opt for a standard 110-volt outlet for a 6-hour charge. This supports about 170 miles of range at an economical $1.25 per charge. The AV comes equipped with front and side airbags. Lit Motors will be developing the vehicle to meet European NCAP homologation standards, as they are safer and more comprehensive than US car safety standards. Lit says that the vehicle is designed to be driven in rain, sleet, or snow. Lit Motors is currently taking pre-orders for the self-balancing motorcycle, and you'll be put in the queue 6 to 12 months before production starts. The price to reserve one is $250. Designed by Daniel Kim, a visionary educated at institutions like MIT and UC Berkeley, Lit Motors AEV redefines city travel by merging the excitement of a motorcycle with the safety and comfort of a car. Would you buy this self-balancing motorcycle?
Well,
I don't know. What do you think about that?
If it was really cheap, like the price of like one of those little sprees or whatever you call them that they ride all over the place in all those other countries, they were cheap, like less than $3,000. Yeah, I'd probably buy one.
I don't
but
think they're.
If we're talking about 50 to 100,000, nah, I'm not interested. Especially not for something that's I'm gonna have to buy a new battery for that might cost me 10 times that much.
Oh, they can't show that there. Yeah, hang on. All right, so I'm back. Wait.
But I know that you can buy electric golf carts and you can drive quite a few miles. If you're only going locally, then I don't see why you don't just buy one of those. It's cheaper.
Oh, this was kind of interesting here too. This is yeah. I'll tell you what, I think it's a pretty cool idea. And of course my mind mind experiments with it. I was like, well, I was wondering how one of those would do on it jumping it. You know you'd be guaranteed like a cat to come back down on the wheels.
Yeah, and you could also actually mess with that and make it do flips if you wanted to, just like you do RC cars that have spinning wheels because they have gyroscopic capabilities, and you can make them do flips and all kinds of crazy cool stuff.
Yeah, get it up in the air and then rev it, fucking change.
Yeah, it'll actually lean backwards and forwards, and yeah, you can do. It's really interesting too because once you get good at it, man, you can land it anytime. It's pretty cool.
Oh, I remember Earth Shoes. I remember them, Logan. I remember them.
Oh, those things with the springs and the big old like It was like a tube, and
No,
then
it
you
was
jump.
these
Which one are you
real
talking about?
cloggy looking shoes. I wonder if I can find those. Let's
I have
see.
some that have springs on the bottom of them. They're like really old. They're probably from like the 50s or 60s or something.
No, these were in the 70s. Let me see if I can.
Well, this might have been too, but it was just something I haven't seen in a lot of years, and it was actually springs on the bottom of some shoe things that attached to your shoe, and I was like, I have to hold on to this.
Here we go. Here's vintage Earth shoes from the 70s. Let me bring that up real quick. I'll stop that screen and present this screen. Oops, wait, no. There it is. That's them. Is that what you had, Logan? The Earth shoes. Real comfortable. They were real comfortable. Yeah, they were. They were real comfortable shoes. Somebody said, name a pair of shoes or a brand of shoes that kids haven't heard of today that you had to. That
I've never heard of that.
And one of those that I thought of was Hush Puppy. Remember Hush Puppy shoes?
Oh, how about kangaroos?
Oh yeah, kangaroos too. Yeah.
Dude, I had some of those. Dude, I wore those forever, dude, till the bottoms wore off. And only because there was a little pocket on the side of the shoe. It was stupid, but I really like.
This has been that the North Sea's been trending recently on Twitter, and this is some interesting stuff we've talked about. It's interesting because somebody talked about tides. Oh no, he's not talking about moon shoes. Moon shoes were in the 80s. Moon boots. I mean, moon shoes are the spring things that you're talking about. Yeah, kids have died on those things.
Yeah, I've got a pair of those. They're like red, and they got these big old like industrial size springs on the bottom that are attached to like a ring at the bottom that keeps them from stabbing through your foot or something.
Yeah, mostly they jump and then they come back down and break their ankles. Because they're
you can just see a lot of rotator cuffs.
But somebody said something about the tides, and I was like, well, yeah, there are these vortexes that are actually charted. In fact, there's one listed on the 1587 Urbano Monte map up by Norway. You look, and there's this Virago is listed there. And of course, they say up around the North Pole, there's one as well. And a few more, I'm not exactly sure where, but they're charted and they've been documented. People have seen them. They seem to just, so is there like a pumping, draining type system going on? And this is kind of some interesting information on that and regarding the North. I don't know, food for thought.
Do you want to know why North Sea was just trending? Because the word of the real North Sea, the most treacherous waters, is getting out, and they needed something else to come up in the search when people started looking into this. The North Pole has a portal and the Black Rock. Let's get Black Rock trending and the Rupes Nigra trending and F the system. They cannot hide it. Do you know what this place is? It's located in the center of the North Pole, and it's the center of the Earth's magnetic field, known as the tallest field. That black thing in the center of the world, it's the tallest mountain, far more taller than Mount Everest. It's the Rupes Nigra, or the Black Rock, also known as Mount Zion. Some people also call it Mount. You wouldn't find this massive mountain existence in mainstream science and media because it's deliberately concealed. Because if the world knew that there is such a huge mountain in the center of the earth, it would change the course of history. This includes the true nature of our world will be rewritten, and this will undo the globe-shaped earth theory and the entire timeline of the earth. Look how the wind stream passes through the mountain. It blocks the wind because of its height and size. The Rupes Nigra, or the Black Rock, described by Makita as 33 French miles long, or roughly 40 miles in diameter, is proportionally explained why all compasses point to this location. The biggest shareholder of all major companies in the world is BlackRock. And did you know Russia and China are secretly battling the U.S. right now over the North Pole? Yeah, they don't really talk about it too much on the news, but check it out, guys. Makes sense. Stay vigilant out there, guys. Do you want?
What are they fighting over the North Pole for? What's going on there?
Because they want to go down in the hole and see what's in there.
I wouldn't want to go down that hole just
Man.
based on the shit that I've.
After all these phallic symbols, maybe we just need a big donut or a big butthole in the middle of the earth. You know?
Yeah.
I honestly do think I believe that the black sun is what emits the actual sunlight, and that we're just seeing a reflection. But I mean, who knows? I mean, I could be wrong too. You know?
Could be. I always think of that.
I don't think that's what that is. I think that is probably somebody's
Heaven and
idea of
Hell.
a funny joke.
You know the song Heaven and Hell, where he's got that line where it says the moon is just the sun at night. I'm like, is it like just an antithesis to the sun? Maybe even its own reflection. God, who knows?
The light from the darkness.
Boy, we really had a hell of a time on.
The Bible.
We really had a hell of a time on Flatsoid today with that guy trying to get him to understand what the fuck energy is defined as, you know, and he was really having a bad time with it.
I think Dell did too many performance enhancing drugs as a child. I don't know.
It's possible. It's possible.
I hate to say that about him, but I've known about him for quite a few years, and he's not changed much. At first, I kind of thought he was on our side, but then I realized that he believes in some crazy stuff that I just don't. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, wait a minute, hold on, what? But yeah, it's almost like I almost fell into it. I watched the show a couple times and I didn't hear him say.
This is what we get now. I'm telling you right now, it's some really heavy duty desperation. The other night we saw Craig, and I was unaware that he had almost had a heart attack from, or at least a panic attack when he'd debated Witsit before. That right there, I was like, hey, wow, you really letting this get to you way too much, bro. You know,
yeah, like I thought we were just doing this because we were trying to learn from each other, and maybe we'd figure out, you know, because we'd be able to point the finger at the other one and say, see, we were right about that part. You know what I mean? I thought that's what we were trying to do, not really just hate each other and then never talk. You know, like we would use that whole idea as the way to learn, right?
Well, what it's come to this at this point, it's become painfully obvious that they're like quickly trying to patch all the holes and stop the leak, stop all these flood of flat earthers, because what's happening is this is growing. They are losing ground with this globe shit. More and more people every day are coming to the realization of what the earth really is and what it isn't. More or less, I should say, coming to the realization of what it isn't.
What it isn't, yeah.
And then embarking on that journey.
Yeah.
They embark on that journey to discover what it is. And they can't hold it anymore. More and more people are saying, and the more panicky they become, as we've seen recently, the worse it gets for them. It really does, because we're seeing this all the time. Oh, you're not important enough to debate. Then why the fuck are you talking about us all the time? Cyman Dan, right? Professor Dave. You got all this time to sit there and make rebuttal in a video by yourself. Why don't you put those rebuttals where they can be critiqued and rebutted right on the spot? Because he knows he's full of shit and he relies on that. That's why if you take away the mockery, and listen, that format at Jaron now has taken one of their main tools of obfuscation away, and that was to interrupt.
Yeah, to just
because I watched
interrupt.
Oh, I watched. It was strategic. It was like that you'd build up to your point, and as you're about to make your point, they interrupt you, and usually want to segue from some minutia in the build up to your point when you haven't even made the point yet. And they know that throws you off track. Now, what's the key? What's that for? That's so that the people listening don't get the cohesive rebuttal. And so by taking that away, that's removed a huge tool from their arsenal. It really has, because in the past, that's all they've ever had. So if you want to spend limited time, if you want to waste your buzzers, You get 2 buzzers, and if you want to waste those making ad hom attacks or whatever, by all means, go right ahead. But then you don't get to talk until the other guy's done talking. It's all over then.
Well, I think we should always have muted it and have it where one person talks at a time, if it's a debate anyway. You know, like a tag team or a raise your hand type thing. Or
yes, that's how I thought a structured debate was supposed to be.
Right. That's why.
Like, and that's what a moderator.
The idea of doing it that way. I was like, yeah, I thought of that too, but I didn't. It wasn't quite the same. But I had a similar idea, but nobody wanted to take the idea and go with it. They were like, no, that's not fair. I'm like, how is it not fair? Then it doesn't matter who's mediating. Then you're not cheating. You're not just letting one person talk and not the other.
I think it was the fact that I had pointed out, and you know, just like I did just now, was that was a main tool that they were using in the debate, was that interruption, and it was strategic. It absolutely was strategic. And I thought, okay, if you can eliminate that and let a motherfucker get their point out without this asshat jumping in and interrupting, how do you stop that? Well, that's, and the moderator's supposed to do that anyways, but by having them muted, they can't interrupt. It can't throw your rhythm off. You know, when you get into making a point and you're building up to the point, you're kind of into a rhythm, and then they come in and throw a stick through the spokes, and you're like, motherfucker, I was just about to make the point, and you come in and asking me what my definition of was is, you know what I mean, or some shit like that.
Right.
It's like, come on. They hate this too.
Or they say, so what you're saying is.
Yeah, what you're saying is, why don't you pay attention to what the fuck I'm saying to start with? You know, in the first.
You didn't hear me the first time I said it, or the second time? Okay, let me repeat it one more time. Maybe you need it in 3s like everything else.
So this is an interesting video. This is a good demonstration of atmospheric lensing, what we call atmospheric lensing. And just for those that don't understand what it was, I thought this was a pretty good demonstration of it.
A little bit cooler. An esky. Just gonna drag it back. Gonna just add a little bit of touch of Rupes and put a bit of atmospheric lens in there. Oh, okay, here we got the ship. Let's just drag the ship back. Oh, look at that. Oh, ship, go away. You watching, Rusty? Rusty, you watching me? Boy, look, Rusty. Ship, go away. Look at that, Rusty. We'll move the atmospheric lens in, Rusty. See?
Help. So it's another thing they always want to deny too. Oh, you're just making that up. No, that's a real thing, bro. How you doing, Snowman?
Hey, not too bad.
So yeah, that's I thought I'd give you all a little taste of that one. Let me see. And this is smart. This is like this is just real quick. I want to show this. This is like from the 20s, a ceiling fan, and I think this would be a great design to have today, man. This is perfect. I love this. It's all just one simple swivel added to this thing. Watch how this thing whirls.
Oh yeah, I saw this too. This is cool. I thought it was pretty neat too. I saw one that had 3 on it too. I've seen one that had 3 blades, 3 little arms that stuck out. It was trippy.
What's that?
Whenever you turn it off, it would drop down. Like it would drop down a little bit, and then it would raise up when you turn it on. It was weird.
Oh yeah. Using its own.
But it had 3 arms.
Lift. Yeah, using its own lift, it would do that. Yeah, I've seen that. That's pretty.
I think where I saw it was in some kind of weird like steak restaurant somewhere. I don't even remember where. It might have been in Marin or somewhere weird place here in California. But I remember I seen it and I thought, what the heck is that? And they were like, yeah, check it out. And they turned it up and down, and then you could watch the little arms lift and drop. It was cool. was like, that's neat. I never thought of doing something like that. They're like, yeah, but they're expensive. You got to constantly lube them, otherwise they start squeaking and they fall off the ceiling.
So this is that thing I was talking about. You know, I don't know how to take some of these. I don't know. Are these real or not? I don't know. But this is supposedly from Operation High Jump. Now, see, we got to be real careful too, because they got that damned AI making up crazy shit.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say the AI stuff is weird, bro. I've seen some, but it's like, what?
And I don't know.
That looks like a movie. It looks like somebody literally, and you're telling me that just a stupid program created that? That's interesting, bro. Like, wow.
Oh, what is
I mean,
this?
it's not thinking, but I guess it can follow commands, and you could tell it. And I guess there's a way you can tell it to do certain things, and it'll paint a picture for you. I guess they figured out a way. I don't know. I know it's just basically doing what they're programming it to do. But I get it. It looks cool. It's kind of like that machine. Remember those little things, the 20 question things, where it could guess whatever you thought. You could think of anything, just one thing, and it would figure out what you thought just by asking you 20 questions. Well, it's just because that's true doesn't mean that it's some fascinating thing that this computer is learning from you. It's just a game that people play. There's a way you can narrow it down by asking certain questions, and somebody figured out how to do it, naturally, and then everybody else learned how he did it, and then they started making it into a trick so they could, it's just like that thing where you tell someone you could knock down a wall, and then you bet them $100, and then you take their money when you just, you knock from the top to the bottom of the wall, and then you grab the money and you walk out. You make a lot of money. But that only works so many times before you get beat up.
Yeah. So
like that's what
This is another one. I've been following Stu Peters, been putting out some interesting shit on Twitter recently. So I've been following him. And this I saw where he was promoting, I believe it's a Hibbler Productions. And now Hibbler's the one that put out Level and the Next Level.
Yeah.
Okay. Does some really good work, really done a lot of collaboration with a lot of people within the community as well. So something about that said all lies will be exposed May 25th of this year. And this is like some kind of a little trailer or something, but this is in our wheelhouse, guys. This is part of that hidden history shit that we're unraveling.
There's a lot of architecture in the world today on every continent of buildings that are much, much larger than you would think people of our height would build.
Cities in America that look as though they were constructed in medieval Europe.
The outside's incredible, but the inside is built like a palace.
I'm not sure if there were even any schools of architecture back then.
How do they know how to do this stuff?
We're at the pinnacle of our civilization now. This is the best it gets, the best we've ever done. Look at the quality of these walls.
Now you'll go through a neighborhood and every home looks the same.
Had we known we're going backwards, everyone would be pissed.
As an architect of 20 years, I like to look at a building as telling its own story. I'd like to say that stones don't lie.
And they're giving us timelines of like a year. It was built in a year.
The history that we've been told is a lie.
Why would a regular sized human make something so massive?
How did they build that beautiful, beautiful building? Was that building here longer?
I feel like the building was here already.
What was actually in the towers? What kind of technology was up there?
These buildings were built by the prior civilization.
A beautiful, easy, graceful method of travel, flush down the drains.
Nope, no more airships.
And they have to lie to us about it. They had to write the storybooks. We learned about one fire, the Chicago Great Fire.
There were fires in every major city.
Burned to the ground.
It's impossible for any stone building to be burning down.
What's being kept from us is huge.
What a world it must have been.
So there's literally been a cover up of history more than one way.
Oh, the humanity.
I'm just being quiet today. Everything I can think of to say is just crazy, but this is reality as we know it. So,
But am I the only one that doesn't trust it?
oh, the footage and stuff. Trust your own imagination, bud.
No, I'm just saying, like, you know, like everything, like just what we saw there. I'm not saying anything against Hitler because I like a lot of the stuff he's put out, but I don't agree with everything he says either. But that doesn't mean that what he puts out isn't good, because it makes people think, and then they do their own research and they find out for themselves. Maybe he just hasn't learned all those things yet. But I mean, I'm
Yeah,
not
well,
going to judge him based on that because I like some of the stuff he's put out. And I would actually recommend it to some of my friends, which I won't say that about most stuff that I see on YouTube and that this and that about flat Earth. I
I was
wouldn't
just
send my
commenting.
because
I
people
was
are
just
rude.
commenting on this topic being the, you know, the architecture, specifically, just the trailer. I wasn't taking it personal or anything. Yeah, I mean, I do know of
No, I
Hitler's
know. No, I
production.
know.
No, some
No,
of
I know.
those,
I would just,
some of those.
yeah.
But here's the thing: those structures, even today, with the timeline that they give us, that these things were constructed in,
There's some in Toronto.
are
Yeah.
difficult to impossible, even for by today's standards.
They say 200 years ago, roughly, and you know that's where
Yeah.
everything was built. Everything.
Yeah, and I think it's older than that. It's definitely
See,
older than that.
well, you know what? I honestly don't know if we are much older than living history, and so I don't even understand what that means.
Well,
So,
I was watching this thing here that was made 2 years ago in 2022, and they used the Geneva Bible, and in that had a table where they had calculated how old the Earth was from creation in that book to that date, and so they extrapolated it up to 2022, and in 2022 made Earth 5,998 years old. That means that this year is a happy 6,000th birthday, according to that.
that's
And
just
I think that's interesting that here we are at a good round number of 6 and 6,000, and bam, it seems like all fucking hell is breaking loose everywhere. It's just like we've got all the shit going on with the Middle East, the rumors of wars and rumors of war, all this stuff. Are we going to go in the Middle East? Are we not going to go in the Middle East? All that kind of shit going on. We've got unprecedented weather shit happening all over the place, right? Signs in the sky and in the heavens. They're trying to say, oh, it was man doing it, but is it? Is it? These people are seeing supposedly everywhere. Myself, I've not witnessed it, so until I do, I'm skeptical of it. But we're seeing a lot of shit coming down all at once this year, and to be quite frank, I've had that feeling of trepidation, that feeling like waiting for the other shoe to drop anyways, and I think it's dropping. I think it is dropping. I mean, there's just too much crazy shit going on. I have a friend down in Texas. I'm really worried about him.
Kind of escalating.
Yeah, they've been getting hit with tornadoes left and right down there, like it's just no tomorrow. And they're calling them microbursts. They're just coming up out of anywhere, which is really interesting because here in a minute I'll show you something they've been doing. Somebody caught it on radar, where you see it was like at 3 o'clock in the morning. They like put a pulse through all the 5G network, man, and then all this fucking weather happened right exactly after it.
Well, that's been happening for a long time, bro.
I mean, you see this, here's this map of like several states all at once. I mean, you can zoom out and have the whole United States.
Every time there's a storm, it
see
does
it all
the
at the
same
same time. Woof, like this, like little circular patterns that grow out from all over the place. And then all of a sudden the fucking weather. And especially right down there in Texas where my friend Dave is at. And he was telling me, he says, yeah, they're calling this a microburst. And then I saw that video and I'm like, holy shit. They're doing this. They're doing this.
Yeah, it shows in the water. Maybe maybe it's actually bouncing off the water, and like, because that's how else would you see it on a radar, right?
Right. Well, the water vapor, yeah, and I think that's what they're manipulating.
Well, so guess what? Like you can I like the machine stuff. I'm not great with it, but I like talk about magnetic fields and stuff like this. And so, in an electromagnetic field, aluminum behaves weirdly. It's the exact causation for the maglev train is the way aluminum behaves in an electromagnetic field. So it makes perfect sense that there's a possibility they're putting that in the sky. And like we've known about the weather, I mean, they brag in Germany that they can block the hail from landing on the Audi dealership. They brag in Saudi Arabia that they can make it rain and have lush areas.
In Vietnam,
Yeah.
they made it rain so much.
You know
it
what?
almost-
They
it
make it
almost
rain.
got-
They make
Yeah,
it
they
rain
got
in
a lot of-
Dubai. They
Yeah,
create
Germany
their own
brags about how they can shield the giant Audi yards from hail because they have machines to block the hail.
Well, here's what I heard about this flooding in Dubai. You know, Dubai's flooded.
Yeah, biggest loss of
Yeah, I heard.
supercars ever recorded on the planet was the short I saw on it. Yeah.
They with this manufacturing of rain, they got it to a like into a cycle where they couldn't shut it off.
Well, they pushed it over to Afghanistan now, so they're all right.
But here's what I was
Mother
talking
Nature's
about.
going to come back with a vengeance. Yep.
Well, it's a butterfly effect. You can't push on weather like that and not have changes
Yeah,
if we
you're
are
gonna
in the
cause
same
something
fishbowl.
else to happen.
Yeah, if we're in the
Cause
same
and reaction.
fishbowl, yeah. And it's weird, those vortexes you were talking about too, how they can just form and kind of maybe be a part of the current system somehow or something, and they're just kind of there. And
Maybe
Wait
it's a
till you
big
see where the ley
filtration.
lines land on where these places are,
big
and then you're
machine.
really going to think I'm crazy because I could show you that the ley lines even match up with it. Like
Well,
where
might
these
be a
things
big.
go off, it's like they go off at the same time as these storms come along. It's really strange.
It might just be a big filtration system.
I think
You
it's
know?
a giant machine.
I think there's something
They
in
need
on
to-
ground.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yes, it is. Absolutely living. You know,
Living
it's definitely it's organic.
It's a living
crazy.
spaceship, if you will, if space was real. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not certain what's outside the dome.
Watership.
Yeah.
Well,
more
they would
water.
have to put water above it so that way, if you did finally get out, you'd drown, or at least you would be hesitant to keep going, right? If you just found water, you'd be like, "Oh crap!" You turn around and go back, right?
Yeah, well,
Can't
that's like
breathe, and
saying no
you
one's
were
ever come out.
expecting the vacuum of space, and you got water. What? You're like, wait a minute.
So
It's like saying no one's ever come out of those woods before.
Right? Yeah.
So here's the here's this what I was talking about, and I'm gonna go take a leak real quick while this is playing.
Friends and family, this is the most not talked about hidden subject that there's going to be across America. Every time I've posted it, it gets taken down, so I'm going to have to do it this way. What you're seeing are the 5G towers. When they went on to high alert, they hit 750,000 watts, and look at that, they popped up on the
You want to know why you have brownouts?
And also, we see a weird burst that happened up in Montana around our Minutemen. But then we also see stuff that happened just like in the Midwest, and it happened. Then they were wondering about like, hey, we're going to have tornadoes. Well, of course, they're probably going to be for sure about tornadoes when they have 750,000 watt towers that beam off. These things are bigger than most radio stations, and they're circular. So when they pop up as a circle, it's pretty obvious to tell what they are. Now, you see all those towers, those are 5G towers. And that's what happened. And then as soon as that happened, we had all this wicked weather that happened.
No, they're Doppler radar towers.
Weather manipulation. Well, personally, I would like to be informed if we're going to be around or if we're going to be fried in the middle of the night, 750,000 watts. I'd like to know so that I can take a trip and just not be a part of the experiment. What about you? So every time I've tried to post this, it's been basically taken down immediately, whether it's been on any of the other platforms. This is so top secret, and I'm not kidding you. See how it basically the towers are directly affecting the weather patterns that we have.
You see that down here in this Texas area? That's where all
It's
it
funny that he's
like
saying
that.
that's like as if it's a new thing, because I've known about this for like 4 or 5 years now. There's a guy that's been putting out videos about it on YouTube for a long time, dude.
Yeah, I don't know about it being like a top secret and they're taking it down. Maybe you just
I don't think it's top secret at all. It's just now new people are discovering it because it's not something that you would just find in the regular searches under Google, but you can find it. You know what I mean?
There's Brian Stavely in here. He just got fucked.
Brian. How you doing, bro?
How'd you just got fucked finally? I was wondering. He's been working around all these women, man. He said it's nothing but MILF Central in this place. where he's working
Well, it
at.
won't be long and we'll have a flying
Good for you,
vagina.
Brian.
Story up, Brian.
But yeah, that's just, you know, he goes on, kind of repeats or repeat. But I mean, everywhere you see those things go off, that's what I think is so.
Yeah, the circles. There's a part where they make circles, and that's
Yeah. Watch here.
That's most.
You ever heard of a guy called Logic Before Authority?
Right there.
Yeah, it slows down a bit, but yeah, there's other spots too. Yeah, I think you can really
see that, and it's got like this little.
I've seen beams coming from out of nowhere, coming down through the whole United States and hitting a certain area, and then something happening there, and then it just blowing away like it was nothing. And I'm like, what? And he like, I've seen some crazy stuff, bro.
See,
when that fire happened in Paradise, there was a huge thing inside the atmosphere that happened right above it. It was really strange, bro.
I had
really strange.
I had just driven through Paradise about an hour before that place went up.
No way, really?
Yeah.
Wow, dude. You're lucky, bro.
I mean, it was diverting all over the place because of fires and everything. I did get stuck like in this one long line of traffic where they was working on fire right there on the side of the mountain and shit, and they had traffic really slowed down. It was pretty close to the road, but that was the closest I got to any of it. I had no idea it was as severe as it really was because I was on the road. I was like, God damn, they're having fires all over the place down here or up here today.
Well, it was, yeah, but the thing was with that, it's like all of a sudden out of nowhere, it came this weird wind that just turned this forest fire into a giant tornado. And it just
They're starting the fear mongering where I'm at now about, you know, it's now like May, the ice just come off the lake last month, but now we're going to start talking about the dry season and no campfires for cottage country, right? You know, if you're a rich guy with $1 billion cottage, you can afford the fine anyways. They figure, you know what I mean? You have like, you know, and
here's what gets me is this radial pattern right here coming away from this.
That's what I'm talking about, bro.
Yeah,
it's
no,
like,
that was
there's
like
some
the
weird stuff going on.
You got these here, but then this. See, that's what gets.
Where is that geographically? Like, I'm horrible with your geography.
You notice that right after that, it just turns off, everything shuts off, and all the clouds just disappear.
See that? See those?
Watch it again. Watch that sequence again. Watch it. It like goes boo boo, and then watch it. It splatters, and then it just all vanishes.
Oof. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
It's like, come over here. Come over here. We need the rain. We need the rain.
Yeah.
It's like, here, kitty, kitty, kitty.
You can bust clouds and make your own weather. You guys didn't know that? You never saw that?
Oh, yeah.
I'm aware of
you can use silver nitrate
service.
No, I mean like just with your mind. You ever seen the movie Men Who Stare at Goats? It's George.
Yeah, I've heard about cloud busting. That's
all right.
crazy.
Come on.
You stare at a goat and make its heart stop with your mental power. Right? It's like some
as soon as I see somebody do it live for me, I'll believe it. Until then.
Well, astral projection is what I'm talking about for starters. Is like someone being able to do magic of some sort, and then like there's plenty of evidence that they were trying it for espionage and stuff.
The places that I dream about, I don't want to ever visit. Let's put it that way.
So
I've seen some nutty shit in my dreams, bro. That would terrify even the most like horror movie people. You know, like I've had some terrifying dreams where like they took me and put me in this box that had windows, but it looked like the inside of an RV, but it had some machine that they plugged into my stomach, and then they zapped me and I disappeared, and then I came out somewhere else in some other time warp, and then they kicked me out of the damn building, and then they disappeared and left me there. And I remember sitting there with this feeling and this wonderment, like, what am I going to do? Like, I don't even know where the hell I am or what kind of beings are going to live here. Like, because they're telling me what they're going to do to me while they're doing it. And I'm like, let me out of here. And then I remember feeling my stomach hurt for 2 days after that. Like, I felt this weird tingling in my stomach because, like, in the dream, they, like, shoved this thing into my stomach, into my belly button, and I felt it. It was weird. It's like I couldn't stop that feeling and make it go away. It was crazy.
I was just analyzing your dream, and that indicates that you love your mother and you have penis envy. I'm just getting into Freud, so I'm just armchairing. I'm just fucking with you.
At least as long as you don't say I want to sleep with my mother.
Oedipus,
And you-
Schmedipus. As
And
long
you've
as
rode
he
a
loves
van
you.
to rode a van to jail at least once in your life. No.
There
I'll
you go.
accept any weird shit you think as long as it's not doing anything nasty with my mother.
Box with no windows. That sounds like the ride to jail. Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys ever catch my son's channel, Burn the Corporate Fiction, but we had a hell of a stream over there the other night.
Was he on Code Blue the other day?
No, I don't believe so.
Oh.
Anyway, we were talking about, you know, how much Zionist influence there is in American politics. You know,
I was in court all day today. I was in court all day today.
Okay. All right, so you know what I'm talking about. Lots of Steins and Bergs and Witzes in there. Okay. So the thing is what I'm about to show you, people would say, oh, that's anti-Semitic, right? But this was put up by AIPAC themselves, okay, which is, of course, the American Israeli Political Action Committee, right? And they put this out themselves. It's even got a little tag on the video to visit AIPAC.org. So that gets me off the hook with YouTube, okay? And I'm just gonna show you this little video they put out, and it's gonna confirm everything that we were talking about on that show. Everything.
Please welcome Senate Democratic Leader,
the Senate Republican Leader.
Please welcome Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives.
Please welcome Secretary of State.
I'm honored to introduce the Vice President of the United States.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Please welcome back to the AIPAC stage the Prime Minister of Israel.
From day one, Israel found itself in a unique alliance.
The alliance between Israel and the United States of America.
In the United States, our support for Israel is bipartisan, and that is how it should stay.
Our strategic ally, our unbreakable friendship.
America is safer when we stand with Israel.
Because if you care about American security, you must care about Israel's.
Basically, it's AIPAC saying we've bought every fucking major politician you have. That's essentially what they're telling us right there. And these people put more effort into helping and defending Israel than they do their own goddamn country. That's what's so remarkable about this shit. But if you do not sign,
in God we trust.
Well, if you don't sign an unconditional pledge to support Israel, you will not get AIPAC money. And if you don't get AIPAC, listen, and they are responsible for a shit ton of campaign money, as they just admitted through their lobbyists. I mean, look at the players they got in their pockets. Pelosi, Trump, Biden, don't matter the party. They don't care. Their biggest interest is Israel, not the United States. See, this is how our alliance with Israel goes, okay? We give them billions of dollars in aid and weaponry and support, and they let us. That's it. That's it.
No, I was going to say, why are they in bed anyways? World War II makes them in bed. Like, I don't understand. I don't know.
What do you mean World War II makes them in bed? What do you mean by that?
Well, the creation of that country was never actually a country until fucking then. As far like this is my primitive understanding of the fucking thing. And these people were all like displaced, and then they claimed that this section was where home used to be.
Right.
Based on the monuments in the hills and everything. And why'd they pick that side and not the other side where all the Palestinian dudes are anyways in the first place? Or, you know what I mean? They've already reclaimed. They've already reclaimed so much and grown in size. Like, if I understand history, like, I mean, everything is subjective. But if they started off with a little patch. Now they've gone right to the sea.
They
And it's
didn't
like,
start
oh,
with a little patch. They
no, I
started
know they had, yeah,
They had a half. They had half. Now they keep
right, but
taking
I mean,
more and more and more and more, and that's what they're engaged in doing now. Why didn't they move into there? Because they had to get rid of the people first, and that's what
over
they're
the
doing
decades.
now. They're getting rid of the people now. That's exactly what they're doing.
Well, you know what? I popped into my head, and I might as well say, like, I don't know, try not to say anything rude, but it seems like it's like a ritual sacrifice. I can't help but think that this is just like, and so when I saw the number 36,000 the other day, and I was like, no, I've seen 2 or 3 apartment buildings fall down, and I know that those number in the thousands. Like a 12-story apartment building, if it's loaded, which, this is real, or it has to be. And then I keep saying Israel. Is this real? Is it real? Is it Israel? Right? Like who is really doing this stuff, right? And no, of course, it's never the people. It's and so that's the hard line, is that it's never the people really, it's the few. And the decision makers don't go to war, the poor people's children do, right? Or whatever. The lucky ones, the strongest of us.
What? Oh, okay. Do you guys are you familiar? Are you on X, Snowman?
No, I avoid it, but I do end up finding stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
because they're on here too. The phone booth podcast on YouTube, and it's Ted Logan and Bill Esquire. That's their monikers on here, and of course there's Death and Rufus. They're kind of a crew. They're different people, but they're kind of a crew, and they all kind of tag together on shit. And I had them on my show one night. They're really great guys. Anyway, they're all over on Twitter. Ted Logan put out today, or on May 12th, this thing about they were going to have Robot Polisher on his show, I guess. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, that keeps coming up. Who's Robot Polisher? I keep hearing that
Robot
name.
Polisher is a fucking genius. This guy is.
Me and him both.
Listen, this guy has been putting out some of the best shit here lately of little videos. A lot of them really fucking with FTFE and McToon. A lot of them. Now, right after Ted put this one out, because he said this was the 12th, so that meant yesterday. And they had a show where they said we dive into the art of Robot Polisher and discover the little known world of the self-proclaimed naughty boy. And that's of course FTFE. And so he put out this little clip here. It's only a minute and a half long, but as a result of that, FTFE blocked him. So I'm going to let you all take a look at this. I think this came out pretty good. I think you'll like it. I do not know where Cookie Monster went. Where did you go, Cookie Monster? You left without permission, and that is unacceptable.
FTFE is always talking smack about how he could roll in a fight. I'd love to get him in the ring. I'd hop the pond for that.
Fuck yes, dude. Let's do this.
Pull up a Robot Polisher video. Everybody go follow Robot Polisher.
It's gonna be a ways down there, though. I know it.
Yeah, because he just freaking releases a banger every 15 minutes.
I noticed.
Boom, boom. I love when he just clips what they say. Just clips them and posts it, and it's just like, oof. I can't believe they're fucking saying that shit.
All right, bring it up.
Grabbed his shoulder and punched him in the face. I picked him up and I slammed him on the ground. The best way to describe this portion of the fight is, that scene from the first Avengers movie where Hulk and Loki have their little thing.
Oh, no way, dude.
It was kind of like, I'm a big guy, I'm strong, and I'm trained by the military. They train you a very specific way. And the way they train you is to finish fight as soon as possible by whatever means necessary. I grabbed his head, rammed it into the floor several times. Very much like Bruce Banner, I am always angry. Craig is one bad mofo. I'm a naughty boy.
That guy fought somebody and won. What's up with these fucking losers comparing themselves to like the Avengers?
Anybody with any kind of common sense can tell you right now that there's no way that dude has done anything he just said. Anything.
That's the most eloquent way to call him a fucking liar.
I'm a naughty boy.
That's pretty good.
I'm a naughty boy. I'm a naughty boy. Yeah, robot polisher is the shit, man.
FDFD is always talking.
No, the
I think I've
concept
got-
of it though, like that actually bugs me. The term robot polisher actually irks me a bit because like
Well,
think of
he-
the implications of that.
Well, he took that from
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. That's
Klaus.
why it bugs me. Because
And
not everyone can be a robot polisher. Yeah.
he's like, yes, I can. I can be one, damn it. You don't get to tell me.
I thought, like, yeah, you know what? That's what they're going to call robot mechanics in the future. There's going to be so few of us, but every once in a while they need a human to fucking diagnose it or something.
Let me see. Is this the same? Oh, yeah. This was pretty good. I'll put this out. Now take a look at some robot polisher here in a minute. But this is pretty good. This is Einstein's revelation reflects the awakening to the truth that the aether is indispensable in understanding the dynamics of our realm. Initially, he dismisses the aether, but he delves deeper into his advanced theory of general relativity. But this is only a real short one. And you can listen to what old Alberta Einstein herself, himself, itself, themself had to say.
In 1905, I was of the opinion that it was no longer allowed to speak about the ether in physics. This opinion, however, was too radical, as we will see later when we discuss the general theory of relativity. It does remain allowed, as always, to introduce a medium filling all space and to assume that the electromagnetic fields and matter as well are its states. Once again, empty space appears as endowed with physical properties, that is, no longer as physically empty, as seemed to be the case according to special relativity. One can thus say that the ether is resurrected in the general theory of relativity, since in the new theory, metric facts can no longer be separated from true physical facts. The concepts of space and ether merge together. In 1905, I was of the opinion that it was no longer allowed to.
You muted yourself. I could barely follow it to a point, anyways. It almost sounds sideways.
That was what he said. I mean, that was dubbed, but that is what he said. I got an interesting thing here. I might get into it here in just a minute.
I kind of was feeling like what he was saying in the sense, though, that, you know, that the so we talk about the shape of the earth all the time. And so then, I mean, without going on a complete sideways tangent, you know, everything leads to like numbers, ones and zeros, they say, like it is almost like a simulation in a way. But like, I'm just wondering, if it's just not all just held together by, like you said, stuff being matter and, you know, electric magnetic fields, just holding everything together.
Well, they
And
found that
so
right
then-
down the best they can detect as far as what an atomic particle is nothing more than a toroidal field of energy. A toroidal field of energy at a certain frequency. So when Tesla said it's all about frequency, energy, and vibration, yeah.
Yeah, and you keep showing me gyroscopes today. That's my thing. I'm into the gyroscopes and shit. And
there you
this
go.
guy Eric Lathwaite, right, was talking about. He's basically the grandfather of the electromagnetic train, but there's stuff of his that's severely redacted, and I don't know. For one of his books is like $300 to $600 for one of his books, right? It's pretty cool. But anyways, yeah. Make a coherent sentence. Those bikes, they work on the gyroscopes, right? And they were putting them inside of vessels and mounting them on like rubber mounts, like engine mounts inside the vessel, right? And anyways, they're big flywheels, the center one. And so because they have this gyroscopic action or whatever, it's supposed to stabilize the vessel. And so they'll have these giant gyroscopic devices on military vessels. That's why they can corner like they can and shit like that, because they have these things that stop it, or they can almost probably trim it out. Nowadays, you know, like look at the Raptor, right? As far as like aerodynamics and capabilities, right? But anyways, yeah, these gyroscopes is what keeps the bike upright, as he was saying, right? Because the same kind of deal with large vessels. You can buy them; they're like $5,000 to $10,000. They probably work on like a 50-footer or anything big, you know, something like a severe sized lake liner or something. Be the small ones. But yeah, you can get even smaller, man. Yeah. But yeah, so they have two rings. One spinning really fast, and the other ring is just there for like stabilization. So when, anyways, that's the closest I can come to disproving gravity. Is a gyroscope, and that was Eric Lathwaite's thing. Was that they joked and made fun of him that he was trying to claim that he could defy gravity by spinning a flywheel and then gently swinging it around his head at the age of 65 or 70, however old he was. But a lot of his experiments involved like bearings and stuff, like spinning at extremely high velocities, right? And a lot of his experiments involved like bearings and stuff. If you've ever spun a bearing with sound, like it just sounds like very interesting. Blow your eardrums, actually.
Sorry about that. I had a quick reboot of the system for some fucking reason. That was dumb. Sorry about that. I had a hang on. Let me shut that down. There we go. So I had to quickly grab my phone while it rebooted and let everybody know. Yeah, I got booted. I'm back. Damn thing. I was gonna show you all this thing.
Lightning.
It was pretty crazy. Yeah. Let's see. I'm almost there. Back again. Have you ever heard of a place called Turkmenistan?
Yeah, I think so.
So this is.
I used to play Risk, and my geography is horrible, but yeah, was that one of the countries on the old 1994 Risk board?
I don't know if it was on that or not. But it's Turkmenistan. I've heard of it. I'm not really real clear exactly where it is. It's kind of a mysterious place, but this is interesting. This guy went there, and you have to have permission by the king to even be able to go there. But this is really crazy, man. What
there's crazy places out there in your own backyard, even. Like, I mean, you know, the States have got hollow mountains and stuff, but I get what you're saying. It's everywhere, though.
What? I mean, this is really weird.
If you remember my previous videos on this beautiful yet mysterious country, Turkmenistan, you should totally go back and check them out. But if you remember, one of the strange things about this country is just how hard it is to vacation there. But here's a video of somebody actually getting to travel there and sharing his unique experiences. Let me know what you think.
This is the strangest country in the world. There are no people around anywhere. The city is full of these crazy lavish monuments. There is no traffic. Malls, hotels are all empty. So the question is, where is everyone? This is the country of Turkmenistan. And after visiting more than 130 countries, this place is unlike anywhere I've ever been. The president requires all buildings and cars to be white. Tourists who do visit are under strict requirements to have a guide with you at all times and are banned from visiting certain places in cities. Most websites and apps are banned, and Wi-Fi is pretty much non-existent. Every single activity we did, we were the only ones there, including this popular swimming hole and even the famous gas crater. We were the only ones who stayed at this awesome yurt camp. The airport is full of security guards, but for what? It's empty. Restaurants and streets, all the same. There are some camels around, though. The locals I did meet were super friendly and welcoming. This place fascinates me, and I've loved my time here so far. But the truth is, there's just sort of a weird and eerie feeling you have when visiting here that's hard to explain.
What is up with that place, man?
Reminds me of the movie Hostel or something. It's a horrible movie.
That's
I forget I mentioned it.
If you remember my
I mean, that's just nuts. What's up with that whole city? There's nobody in it. All the cars and the buildings have to be white. That's like a law. That's nuts, man.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's hard for me to even believe any of that. Like,
you guys, this, precious moments. This right here, look at the Wayback Machine has taken me to the early days of Joe Biden. Now, in this picture, that's Jill. and Joe. He was 30 and she was 15. Isn't that precious? Dirty old
those
man.
those images in Turkmenistan or whatever it was, I've seen some of those images before and I've heard about this place. Yeah, like, I don't know, it's very weird. There's other stuff too I know though, like there's like weird sundial shit there. And so the thing about the cars might be like a surveillance thing, so they're really easy to spot, a white thing moving across the desert. I don't know where it was exactly.
I don't know, man. That's pretty fucking nuts, man. That is pretty fucking nuts.
And with all the infrastructure and nobody around, the only thing I could think of is either they're in some slum somewhere or like in the basement. My first thought, actually, my first crazy thought was that it's a forward base. There's something there and it's all
Yeah. Or maybe they're just getting it ready for when the next reset happens.
There's a lot of stuff. I think about Ecuador and a couple other places. Did you know in Ecuador, I think I'm getting this correct, they have the clock like inside out. Like the clock is upside down. It's like ridiculous. It's like a thing, I believe. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's not just like me being like fooled by the internet. But no, in Ecuador's got some like dark things going on too. They've got a giant hole that like goes to nowhere. Like it's pretty obvious. There's like some weird shit going on.
Come visit
like,
the
you know, like the pit from 300 or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Oh, Sparta. He goes down the hole. The guy just never hits the bottom because it just goes to the center of the earth or something.
Fucking crazy, man.
But no, they have a hole like that in Ecuador, right? And they say they can't go down 7 miles without a problem.
So,
too hot.
I'm going to shift gears again. This is kind of weird. This guy, he went missing after this interview. Have you guys ever heard of Project Looking Glass? You ever heard of that?
Yeah, that's kind of the stuff I was talking about. Isn't it the astral projection stuff? Or...
Yeah, I think this was I was hoping Lisa Tattersall would be watching tonight. My neighbor, she's into a lot of this too.
I like Operation Fishbowl.
This is a little more than that, though. I mean, this is Fishbowl and this is really weird. This is kind of going on the quantum level. This is just, you'll see.
The level of secrecy and secret facilities and the capabilities of our nationally kept secrets would shatter most people's imagination of what is possible.
This is probably one of the more well-known black-budget time travel projects, with the exception of the Montauk Project. Many whistleblowers have said that the program was not actually shut down, but just classified into deep black.
The people that know everything about Looking Glass, that have gotten all the reports and all the information, the elites of the world.
Yeah, so just to give you all a little bit, Project Looking Glass was allowed elites supposedly to view the future and manipulate it. The story, let's see, it's based on see if I can find some more on it too. Project Looking Glass is now inactive. No, that's not. See, they've got a software thing called that now. And I wonder if...
See, I thought of something weird, okay, for a second. If you're going to, if you want to influence the future, right? Okay, say I want to influence the future. What's the easiest way to influence the future? It's not to go to the future.
Oh, change the present.
Change the present by changing the past.
Right.
So you change the present to come into congruency with the future you want.
See,
right? So Looking Glass could be a message to the past. It wouldn't have to be whatever they say. I don't know what they're going to say, but I was just thinking about if you want to change the future, you start in the past, which is like, there's a reason why we have to exist in this linear way, because it's counterproductive to think like that. Right?
So
it's possible.
It says here, Project Looking Glass was a classified project run by the United States Navy out of the S4 facility at Area 51 since the early 1960s. The project was designed to view past events and help ensure continuity and reconstruction of the U.S. government in the event of a nuclear attack on North America. That's the story. But let's see what they say.
Probably figured out that that was the end of the game. I mean, nothing could be manipulated beyond that point.
According to the alleged insiders, the looking glass technology was apparently used to look backward and forward in time, using the consciousness of an operator as a type of steering mechanism. The operator would sit in a chair that was apparently recovered from a downed extraterrestrial craft, capable of interfacing with consciousness directly. When the device was turned on, strong toroidal fields of energy cycled about a pouch of water at the center, which acted as a sort of resonator for in-streaming energies from the point of focus maintained by the operator. The data was collected and projected onto video monitors at incredible speeds, which later needed to be deinterlaced to reveal discernible images. What's interesting is that the biases of the operator would have a direct effect on the images collected. For example, if one were to look back to the time of Jesus' crucifixion, if the person doing so was an atheist, they may not see anything at all. But if the person was a Christian, they may see the infamous crucifixion event. This is suggestive of a time-space mechanic in the universe, wherein the human mind is able to navigate through time itself. The work of Dewey B. Larson and his reciprocal systems theory provides the basis for this interpretation. Briefly, as described by Larson, the universe is broken up into two physical regions, as defined by motion. Below the speed of light, motion operates in 3 dimensions of space and 1 dimension of time. Above the speed of light, motion operates in 1 dimension of space and 3 dimensions of time. As bizarre as that sounds, the mind is uniquely equipped to navigate in time, which is able to access memories of the past, gain awareness of events in the present, conceive of future possibilities, and even imagine alternative events that did not actually happen. In other words, the human mind can select the point of focus, just like in remote viewing, and receive the information from the store of memories made during the experience.
Do you know the difference between looking glass and the yellow cube?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware of what happened to the yellow cube and how it was used and so on?
I believe that the yellow cube still exists. I can't say for certain if it's on this planet, but I would say that it's definitely protected from use at this point.
Okay, well, that coincides with the testimony we got.
The yellow cube or the yellow book would give you your possible future.
Yes.
So it took basically the choices that you would inherently make along a timeline and tell you what that timeline would be, given that you made all the choices that your brain would make.
Well, this is exactly what I was just going to ask you. What we were told is that leaders of governments and so on, people in high places, politically, would use this to try to see their most optimum future and then follow those. So they were using it to enhance their wealth, et cetera, in a very egotistical way. And that was part of the problem with it.
The looking glass device seems to be capable of the same type of process, to access a data stream from any conceivable location in space or time, steered via the consciousness of an operator. According to the testimony of Burish, the technology was provided to the human race during the Sumerian times, when an advanced contingent of future humans went back in time and provided that civilization assistance after a cataclysm known as the Deluge. The Sumerian cylinder seals were encoded with plans to build the looking glass device. Earlier versions of the project saw the development of an actual portal that an individual could move through to jump in time. According to Burish, accounts provided by captured beings known in the program as P-45s, future humans 45,000 years into the future, the Earth was destroyed by massive cataclysms around the year 2012. This is apparently because looking glass devices were actively being used during a major celestial alignment, which overloaded the organic energy grid of the planet. Burish further claims that the device has been dismantled as a result of discovering 2 probable timelines, one of which is the cataclysm described by the captured being. An attempt was made to look into the future, but no concrete data was able to be received past the infamous date of December 21st, 2012, suggesting that this date is a nexus point in time, whereby either Timeline 1 or Timeline 2 would gain momentum. In the last report, Burish suggested that Timeline 1, the positive timeline, had an over 80% likelihood of coming to fruition. Given that we are nearly a decade beyond the 2012 date, and no major cataclysms have occurred, we are most likely well entrenched within the positive timeline.
Yeah.
This is undoubtedly one of the more intriguing topics in Awakening Times, which seems to be well hidden in popular works of fiction. Corey Good, a secret space program insider, claims to have reviewed documentation relating to this project.
It would be very hard to accept that all of this information that is currently held secret and classified is actually real.
I don't know, man. I don't know, man. What do you think?
There's a little truth in everything. I don't know. Like, I think it's a little bit of a kind of like a gatekeeping operation in a way, but like, I think that anything's possible as far as like looking back. I think that's for sure easy to write people.
I don't know, because I kind of like.
As far as the timelines go, I don't think there's one timeline. I think we're all making choices, and there is no good or bad timeline. It's going to be what it's going to be in the end. And
But
yeah,
is
we're gonna
time
make
really
choices.
a thing? I mean, it's only a concept within the mind. It's a construct of our mind. This is why animals don't really have a sense of time. We do.
Destiny. It's destiny versus free will. Is what I come across.
Because if you really think about it, where's the past exist? It's memory. It's in your memory. Where is the future? That's in your imagination. So what you really are, you're always in the perpetual now. It's always just now. There is no past. There is no future. There is only the present.
Yeah, you're starting to combine them.
So,
because you are everything you know, so everything you know you brought with you to the present, and so like and then there's residue too. Like I wrote something down yesterday, and I still have it, so that's kind of from the past. Whatever.
Well, it's not really it's a recording. There again, a memory. The actual act is gone. The actual moment, so to speak. And there again, I think that's where you get into that. Is one of those non-chronological units of time, a moment. What is that? That's the present.
Still a measurement. Yeah.
And then when you recall it, that's of course from memory. And I thought that was interesting that it said that it relied on the human consciousness. And if a person was an atheist, they wouldn't see the crucifixion of Christ. I don't know why, if the thing in contest isn't the fact, isn't that the man was crucified. That we know that there's historical record of that. The thing is that's in contention is the resurrection of that. So why would an atheist not be able to see an actual historical event of a man being crucified on? See, so that doesn't.
That's some of the sideways talk that I.
Yeah, I started my bullshit detector started really flaming up when that part came in, because I'm thinking along those lines.
Did I need to hear that part even? Right? Why did that need to be part of the message?
Right. So I don't know, man.
I smiled when I heard it coming up too. I thought they were going to go all, controversial for a second. Yeah.
Where are we at? Oh Lord, how much time do we got left? Do I have time for this? Let's see. Yeah, I think I can.
But anyway, can I mention one thing? There was real quick. There was an experiment about a foil tube, and it was very similar to. It may even been a part that wasn't mentioned in Operation Looking Glass. And well, I hate to plug out Chaz, but there's this guy. He's really, really popular. I can vouch for him, but he basically watches his stuff and then does a report on it, and then kind of recaps or scullies it at the end and debunks it. So these Y-Files guy, I think he's an ex-cop or something. But anyways, he did this. I remember vividly. He was talking about this experiment where this guy was going in this tube. And it was just an aluminum tube, right? And it was electrified. It was a machine. And there was tons of candidates and stuff, and they would all go sit in the chair, and they were all having like out of body experiences to the point where like it didn't take long. Like I don't even think there was a chair, man. I think they just put him in this tube, and they didn't want to get out and stuff. Like there was other people freaking out, right? Like there was some of the people didn't like it, and then there was a guy that had a talent for it. And then I was thinking to myself, yeah, even with the astral projection guys and different stuff, like some of it's got to be all stories, but I know in my own heart that there is a talent for this type of thing. Like it can be taught to a point, right? You know, but you gotta. I think the same way talking to animals. If you think he's going to understand you, then he probably might. But if you don't think he's going to understand you, and so I think that's part of the driving part of the consciousness, where you got to have faith or confidence or whatever you want to call it.
So this one's this is by the Robot Polisher, and it says how exactly they fake space. I'm so glad you asked. They use harness, wire, CGI, parabolic flights, hairspray, sleight of hand, human psychology, etc. Do you believe? So this is pretty good. Robot Polisher. This is another example of some of the stuff. He goes, if you're not subscribed to him, go over on YouTube to Robot Polisher, subscribe to his channel. If you're on X or Twitter, look him up on there. He's there. Check out his content. It's pretty good. Here's another example right here. This one I just picked up. He uploaded this like 4 hours ago. And that's like what Ted was saying in that, or who was it? That was Rupes. He was saying this guy puts out a fucking video like every 10 minutes, man. It's unreal. A lot of content. Anyway, check this out. And then we're going to wrap it up.
Today we're going to be talking to you about magic, war, and intelligence.
Magic is an amazing way of thinking.
Yes, magic. Magic is the new science. Talking about social engineering, the clever manipulation of the natural human tendency to trust.
Important thing you need to know is that you don't know shit. What you see, what you hear. Nothing is what it seems.
Space is tough, especially whenever you're trying to show video from space.
Deception and warfare goes back to early history. But in the 19th and 20th century, it became more sophisticated as magicians such as George Méliès began to apply the methods from stage magic to the new medium of motion pictures, thereby pioneering special effects. As the movie industry grew and technology improved, these effects became more convincing. By World War II, these deceptions that had been used to entertain audiences were being used on a larger scale
to defeat the enemy.
This intersection between magic, special effects, military, and intelligence is fascinating.
When you're designing magic for TV, you want everything to be burnable. Burnable means the audience can continue to watch it with unblinking eyes, even rewind the footage, and still not understand how the deception works.
If you're looking for a launch site anywhere in the world, the ideal location is an island in the middle of the ocean.
What's a Kansas City shuffle? Kansas City shuffle is when everybody looks right. You go left.
I love misdirection. Misdirection, simply put, is having something really great to look at over here and hiding something over here that you want to hide.
Never heard. It's not something people hear about.
The best type of magic uses combinations of methods layered on top of each other. Makes it much more difficult to deconstruct a trick and figure it out.
He's going to show you the bricks. He'll show you they got straight sides. He'll show you how they got the right shape. He showed them to you in a very special way, so that they appear to have everything a brick should have. But there's one thing he's not going to show you. When you look at the bricks at the right angle, they're as thin as this playing card. Is an illusion, a magic trick.
There's 5 different types of effects. There's a vanish. A vanish, something disappears.
3, 2, 1. Boosters in ignition. And liftoff of Artemis 1. We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
He conjures a cloud of smoke, a flash. She's gone. But where did she go?
They get out and head down this tube.
Located 12 meters below the launch pad is a place called the rubber room.
Via that 200-foot escape tube.
He was using technology basically to perform a magic trick, which is not uncommon. Technology and magic have gone forward through history together.
There's a production. The production, something appears.
Orion slammed into the Earth's atmosphere at 25,000 miles per hour. The heat shield had to hold up against temperatures of 5,000 degrees, half as hot as the surface of the sun.
Transposition. Two things change places.
Photographing the model against a blue screen. It will later be possible to add different backgrounds and other moving objects to the scene. Results? Enough to keep us all dreaming.
A transformation. One thing turns into another one.
Back on the ground in the water tank on orbit, essentially the same picture.
And then natural laws defied, and this can be a levitation, something floats.
Polylac said with the hula hoop to run down the length of a body to prove there are no hidden wires or strings attached.
Closing doors, this is a magic and sleight of hand term. It means canceling out possible methods in the audience's mind. In other words, if I have 3 coins and I want to make these coins disappear, the first thing I might do is show you that they are solid silver coins by showing you both sides. Next, I would probably explain that my sleeves are rolled up. I want to point that out so you actually see that my sleeves are rolled up. I'm going to keep all of the coins in view, in frame, and I'm going to move slowly. And with all of those things in mind, if you watch the 3 coins, your brain actually starts to trick itself into thinking that what you're watching is real magic. Because if enough doors are closed, that is the only answer, which is why I show you the front and back of my hands. Watch that second coin right here. That one is gone. And while you're busy thinking about that second coin, the third one has already left. And that's how you close doors.
This was a Kansas City shuffle. They look right. And you.
Not everybody can be a robot polisher.
You never drop the con. You never break. Die with the lie.
And they do. That heat that they were saying that thing had to go through higher than the surface of the sun. All right, I'm calling bullshit on that. Put them people inside that thing and torch that fucker up. Stick it down in a blast furnace, man. I want to see it. I want to see him survive that. Put him in a capsule and stick that fucker in a blast furnace. Get out of here with that bullshit. You're muted, Snowman.
Did you see the escape tube too, right? I guess
Oh,
that's in case they had an emergency, right? Then they could get to this room that just happens to be like way out of the way in the rubber room, quote unquote, right? So somebody must have seen this and they just had to cover story it up. Like, yeah, so every rocket launch now has a rubber room. It's
Well,
like, oh, man.
I'm going to see. I think it's available here on YouTube. I'm going to. Oh, shut up, Sabina. Nobody told you to start talking. If you have not seen Capricorn 1, I am going to put the link. There it is. Nice. I'm going to put the link in the description or in the chat. I highly suggest go watch this. This was done, I think, let's see, what year? 1978. 1978. So this was only 9 years after the Apollo 11. Okay.
Did you hear what Joe Pesci was saying, though? About the bricks are as thin as a card.
Oh, yeah. So what Capricorn 1 is basically the gist of the story is at the last minute, they get these astronauts, they're getting ready to go to a manned mission to the moon to Mars. But they get taken off the capsule at the last minute before blast off. And then have to explain to these astronauts, they say, look, we found out that the life support system was no good. By the time you got to Mars, you would have been dead already for 6 months. And if we can't afford to screw up, we already getting breathed on about budgets, you know, the money bullshit, right? And so we had to just go ahead and go ahead with the launch, because if we have a failure, then the public's not going to want to support us as much. All right. So he says, well, what are you going to do? I mean, why didn't you just cancel the launch? He says, we're going to fake it. So they take him to this abandoned air base, and they've got this thing set up with, and if you watch this, you can, and then put it into context of the Apollo 11 mission. And I think that's one of the reasons I'm surprised it even made it out there, because it was only 9 years after Apollo 11. And wow, there was already conspiracy theories rolling around about the moon landing was fake. Not everybody bought it when it happened.
What are you talking about? There was a manned mission planned or something?
There was what?
A manned mission planned? They wanted to go to Mars or something?
Yeah, they were on the fucking spaceship ready to blast off, and they get them out of the capsule at the last minute. Oh, it's great. And the whole thing is, they tell them, you know, you're going to have, well, what if because they even negotiate, and they're like, well, what if we don't go along with this? And they're like, you know, hey, you're going to have, you know, something bad could happen to your family. Right now, your wife and your kids are on their way back home on a jet from the launch. They're on their way back home right now. You never know what could happen to that airplane. And so they get the idea that it's not just that their lives, you know, you could threaten their lives, but threaten the lives of their families and shit. So it gets them to kind of play along. And so you really see this, and it's, if it doesn't put even more doubt in somebody's mind about the Apollo missions, then, because you can absolutely see how they would fake something like that and what kind of coercion techniques could be used. It's really a great flick. So I put the link down in the chat. I don't know if you can see the chat, Snowman. I'll put it in the private. I'll put it over here too. And let me put it over on Rumble too, because I know I may have somebody over there watching.
Yeah, you know, TV was better back in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
They had the Space Channel, and yeah, it was all this like corny sci-fi stuff, but they used to have space news. And this was like back in the day, like, I don't know. One thing I really, really, really remember was them saying over and over again, well, there's ice and there's plenty of carbon dioxide on Mars. And so, you know what? If you got carbon dioxide,
Today we're going to be
and you have the right equipment and enough carbon dioxide, guess what? You got oxygen.
Maybe.
And a supply of carbon if you know how to get rid of it. Right?
I don't know how the fuck they'd ever know how much of anything was on something that far away. And don't tell me spectroscopy. That's a load of shit. But anyway, we've hit our 3-hour mark. We better get off of here. I want to thank you for coming on, Snowman.
Oh yeah.
And Ryan, I don't know what happened to Ryan. Ryan popped out. Thanks for coming on up. I want to thank everybody for showing up to watch the show here tonight. And as we always say, Lord loves a working man. Don't trust Whitey. See your doctor and get rid of his ass. He'll probably kill you. So good night, everybody.